Beside Yi Qing-chan, a guardian shook his head slightly. This guy is too arrogant. He seems to have forgotten that this is not the West Wilderness, not a place for him to be arrogant. Yi Qing-chan said indifferently, don't worry about such trivial matters. Your mission is to find her. I have a feeling that she is back. Yes, holy lady. At this moment, the black-cloaked man next to Shao Jia suddenly sneered coldly, and many people looked over. However, an invisible suppressing pressure suddenly pressed towards Feng Yu, as if to teach Feng Xingliu a lesson. Feng Yu flicked her finger and a spark shot out from her fingertip. The spark collided with a spear intent, not weak at all. Miss. For a moment, many people appeared in the crowd. Clearly, they were all from the Phoenix divine race. Idiot. Han Fei was speechless. It's just a test. Do you need to show up? Just as the two of them were fighting secretly, Han Fei curled his lips and the 9-foot-long ring broadswords on his shoulder suddenly clanged. He exerted strength and an extremely dazzling broadsword beam that was completely composed of extreme yang law slashed at the black-cloaked man. Even an ordinary peak-level carefree level expert might have to exert all his strength to barely deal with this broadsword. Han Fei wasn't Feng Yu, so he didn't need to hide his strength. As for Feng Yu, since she had been hiding her real strength for so long, she naturally didn't want to expose it. The black-cloaked man frowned slightly. Is Wang Han a lunatic? He wants to start a war before the God-ferrying ancient land is opened? This blow couldn't be resolved by condensing a spear light casually. A resplendent divine spear appeared in the hands of the black-robed man. The tip of the spear flashed coldly, and the law covered the spear beam as void patterns condensed on it. Bang! The terrifying power stirred the void. Many people took action and blocked the impact of this energy with a law barrier. However, some people underestimated the collision force. The law barrier condensed was actually forcibly shattered. At this moment, many people were actually shocked. Wang Han was very strong. Just this strike alone was enough for him to stand at the peak of the carefree level. No wonder Feng Yu took a fancy to him. Someone said, Wang Han has made a breakthrough. He was clearly at the Dao proving level before. After repeated battles, it's normal for him to make a breakthrough. Judging from his aura, he seems to have just entered the Dao proving level. Many people had actually fought Han Fei, but they had all lost, so it was not surprising. Smack. Suddenly, the spear light law showed signs of cracking. For a moment, many people appeared behind the black-cloaked man. Idiot. The black-cloaked man snorted coldly. He attacked to provoke some people from the Phoenix divine race to come out. However, he didn't expect that a casual attack from them would provoke many people on his side. The knife light and spear light were annihilated at the same time. There was no telling who had won. Yi Qing-chan looked at this scene quietly and said indifferently, Feng Yu's fiancé? He does have the strength to be listed on the god roll. Many people were surprised. It seems that Wang Han is not to be underestimated. If he can take a spear from Zhao Longma, doesn't that mean that he is qualified to enter the god roll? Someone shook his head. This is just a test. If he can enter the god roll so easily, the god roll will be too easy to enter. However, most of the people who spoke didn't really understand the power of Han Fei's broadsword, but those who really paid attention had already seen through it. Even the Central Sea Divine Realm couldn't block much of the extreme yang fire essence in that broadsword. Han Fei said unhurriedly, he doesn't deserve to be called an expert. He's so narrow-minded. Feng Xingliu, scold him. Feng Xingliu was not afraid of this guy in the first place. Han Fei counterattacked, intimidating the enemy. Feng Xingliu pointed a finger at the black-cloaked man and said, how dare a mere ant compete with the sun and moon? Han Fei rolled his eyes. Do you have any other words besides ants? Feng Xingliu, this one is my favorite word. Feng Yu was speechless. All right, stop it. Zhao Longshu, blame your lackeys. He's not even as good as Feng Xingliu. 1 second ago, Feng Xingliu was still smug, but now his expression changed slightly. Alas, what do you mean, Feng Yu? What do you mean by not even as good as Feng Xingliu? Feng Yu said grumpily, think about it yourself. Han Fei raised his eyebrows. Oh, that person is Zhao Longma. Feng Qingqing said, he was once ranked second on the God roll of the sky. Opening realm, 6th on the God roll of the Dao proving level, and hasn't entered the God roll of the carefree level, so no one knows his combat power. Oh. Little Qingqing, why do you almost know everything? Feng Yu said, Qingqing takes care of all kinds of intelligence with third uncle, cleans the academy with Uncle 4, learns great techniques from Uncle 6, and innovates with Uncle 7. She's a real talent. Feng Qingqing couldn't help but blush. Sister, don't say that. Gee. Han Fei thought to himself, this descendant of big clans really had a lot of opportunities. With this method, even a piece of trash would become a genius. Zhao Longma snorted coldly. Mind your own business. Boom. Boom. At this moment, the sea trembled again, and a black barrier suddenly rose to the sky. The God-fearing ancient land is about to open. Many people stopped paying attention to Feng Yu and Zhao Longma and took out their maps. The same went for Feng Yu. She gave each of them a special map and said, after entering, take a look at the terrain and confirm your location. The God-fearing ancient land doesn't teleport people randomly, so everyone will be teleported to this place, and then they will choose the place they want to go. Han Fei suddenly said, do you think there are any great monarchs hiding in the crowd? Feng Qingqing shook her head. No, those above the immortal level won't be sent to the God-fearing ancient land, because their strength is beyond the understanding of ordinary monarchs. Feng Xingliu said, even if they go there, they'll only be in the perfected star transformation realm. We have to find a place that hasn't been developed much. Feng Yu said, don't even think about it. The trial field set up by the gods certainly won't let you explore everything in one go. Almost all corners of the God-fearing ancient land have been explored. However, some spiritual treasures won't appear until they meet the right person. Some won't appear because their exploration method isn't right or they haven't found the right place. Up to now, no one has figured out the rules of the appearance of treasures, but peerless treasures appear every time. Buzz. In Han Fei's perception, the dark curtain was getting higher and higher, reaching into the sky. After about 100 seconds, the sea vortex below became larger and larger, as if the entire sea area had become a teleportation place. When a black hole appeared in the center of the vortex and kept expanding, someone shouted, "Let's go!" Swish! 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 Countless strong masters rushed in. Han Fei and the others were naturally the first batch to enter. As soon as they entered the black hole, Han Fei felt the hot air. Just like the fragments of the primeval world where the lava giants were, this place was not suitable for experts below the sky-opening realm to enter. The violent spiritual energy and the power of the great Tao could easily blow up sea establishment realm. Experts. After entering this place, Han Fei felt that his cultivation was immediately sealed, but he didn't care. The lower his realm was, the stronger he would be. In front of him, he saw a towering fiery red mountain that towered for hundreds of kilometers with towering walls. The surrounding environment was beyond Han Fei's expectations. It was not a barren land. The vegetation here was towering and abnormally tall. Clearly, it was not comparable to the primordial fragment where the lava giants were. This meant that the life level of this place was very high. One had to reach the sky-opening realm to be able to survive in such an environment. Even weeds could be said to be valuable treasures in the outside world. Everybody released their perception and checked the map. Feng Yu said, "Here, there are lone peaks and plants everywhere. 6 similar peaks have appeared in a circle in my perception here. This is a land without fire. According to records, the plants here have become demons, and there are many monarch demon plants hidden underground. It's not a safe place. Well, there should be a high-quality nature spiritual treasure here, but it has already been dug away, so now it's only suitable for ordinary sky openers to search for treasures, medicines, spiritual fruits, and so on. It has no exploratory value." Han Fei asked in surprise, "Why is your map so detailed?" Feng Yu said, "They're all things passed down from my family. We've basically explored the God-fearing ancient land. Furthermore, there will be clear legendary stone carvings left in the God-fearing ancient land. It often records the specific process of a certain expert transcending the divine tribulation. So many treasures are known, but we just can't find them." After that, Feng Yu said via voice transmission, "Your little wife seems to be leaving. Are you going to chase after her alone?" "Oh? I'm surprised. If it's her, she's growing too fast. Shouldn't she have recovered her memories by now?" Han Fei said, "I don't know. I'll find her when I have a chance." Han Fei looked at Yi Qingchan, who seemed to sense something and looked back at Han Fei, but she only looked back and left in one direction. "Feng Xingliu, then where are we going now?" Feng Qingqing said, "Near the land without fire, there are 9 named locations where people have passed their divine tribulation. Among them, 6 locations have recorded the appearance of high-quality nature spiritual treasure, while 3 locations have only recorded the appearance of low-quality nature spiritual treasure. These 3 places are the primordial water pool, the Sanskrit Pure Land, and the Treasure Hammer Mountain. Which one are you going to?" Han Fei looked at the map. The primordial water pool was a place of tribulation for a god who specialized in water techniques. That person had successfully transcended the tribulation and scattered 9 treasures in the world. 5 of them had been dug out, and 4 had yet to appear. The Sanskrit Pure Land was also a place of tribulation left behind by a god taking great Tao of music. That person had 13 treasures scattered in the world. 7 had been dug out, and there were only 6 left. The Treasure Hammer Mountain was a place left by a god walking the great Tao of strength after he successfully transcended the tribulation. That person scattered 5 spiritual treasures in the world, 3 of which had been dug away, and there were only 2 left. Han Fei glanced at them and said, "Huh. Only these 3 people have successfully transcended the divine tribulation in the 9 places. Also, why do these people leave behind treasures?" Feng Xingliu said, "That's easy to explain. Let's leave it to future generations. Now that they've become gods, they don't need ordinary weapons." Feng Qingqing shook her head. High-quality nature spiritual treasures are still useful for gods. There's no record of this problem in history, but it's possible that these treasures were intentionally left behind. Han Fei said, "They're just waiting for their destined masters." Feng Yu nodded. "Yes, spiritual treasures have intelligence. They're just waiting for the right person." Feng Xingliu said, "The primordial water pool is obviously not suitable for us. We don't know any music, so we can only go to Treasure Hammer Mountain." After that, Feng Xingliu looked at Han Fei. "The Treasure Hammer Mountain is finished. If Han Wang Han goes there, won't the 2 spiritual treasures jump out immediately?" Feng Yu, "Then let's go to the Treasure Hammer Mountain?" Feng Yu looked at Han Fei. She estimated that Han Fei would gain something if he went there. However, Han Fei shook his head slightly. "How long will the God-ferrying ancient land be open?" Feng Yu said, "The longest time in history is 1 year, and the shortest is 3 months. It's impossible to be sure." Han Fei said, "There's enough time. Let's go there one by one. It doesn't matter if we're not the people the spiritual treasures are waiting for. If someone can trigger the spiritual treasures, we can just snatch the treasures from them." Feng Yu, Feng Qingqing. Only Feng Xingliu grinned and nodded. "That's right. No one can beat our combination, right?" Feng Yu said, "With you holding us back here, even if we manage to grab the treasures, we still need to be able to run away." Feng Xingliu was immediately unhappy. "Nonsense, how am I a burden? Everyone is in the perfected star transformation realm after coming here." Han Fei said, "It's all about luck anyway. The more treasure troves we pass, the greater the chance of encountering opportunities. Let's go to the primordial water pool first, then to the pure land of Buddha, and finally to the Treasure Hammer Mountain." Feng Qingqing asked, "Why did you go to the Treasure Hammer Mountain last?" Han Fei said, "What if we get 2 spiritual treasures in the Treasure Hammer Mountain first, won't others keep chasing us?" Feng Qingqing was enlightened. "I see. 3053 accidentally discover a primordial treasure while having a meal. 1. They quickly made a decision and went straight in the direction of the primordial water pool. After Han Fei and the others left, countless strong masters slowly entered the fireless land. Most people actually didn't have a map or an incomplete map. After all, not everyone had a family background like Feng Yu. As for these people, they were most likely ordinary strong masters in the sky opening realm. Most of them were in the early stage to late stage of the sky opening realm. When these people discovered the lush forest here, they immediately revealed ecstasy. What a good place. The plants that can grow in this primeval land are definitely extraordinary. I didn't expect to appear in this kind of treasure place as soon as I came in. We don't expect to compete for any peerless treasures. We can't win even if we try. Let's just stay here." Almost half of the people who came this time were left in this fireless land. Of course, after confirming the location, those who were talented or had obtained the map headed towards the 9 named places. In the crowd, a plain-looking man muttered, "Senior sister, you take the path Of soul. Sanskrit music is good for soul refining. Let's go to the Sanskrit Pure Land. The senior sister said, Junior brother, you've just made a breakthrough. And need spiritual treasures. You'd better find something suitable for you. First. This plain-looking man was naturally Zhang Xuanyu. He had been suppressed in the sect to cultivate and wouldn't come out of seclusion for 100 years. Who knew that Zhang Xuanyu would make a breakthrough 100 years in advance and become a monarch in order to rush to attend the war of the human race? But even if he rushed over, it was too late. By the time he arrived at the human race had already established a new golden age. He regretted not being able to participate in the war. Besides, when he arrived, Han Fei and Luo Xiaobai had already left. He only saw Han Song. Seeing that he was no longer needed, he came to the South Sea Divine Realm. Zhang Xuanyu said, No, we'll go to the Sanskrit Pure Land, then the Primordial Water Pool, and finally the Treasure Hammer Mountain. Senior sister asked, Why did you make this decision? Zhang Xuanyu said, We have enough time. It doesn't matter which one we go first. Besides, senior sister, the probability of us triggering an opportunity ourselves is very small. Even if we do, we have to be able to snatch the treasures. Therefore, if we want to trigger an opportunity on our own, the probability of obtaining a spiritual treasure is very low, but it's different if we snatch someone else's treasures. I think we should go to the Sanskrit Pure Land first because there are the most unexcavated spiritual treasures there. Senior sister pondered for a moment. Okay, let's go. Zhang Xuanyu grinned, but that was not the real reason in his heart. He knew that Han Fei must have come. He had even guessed that Wang Han might be Han Fei. Han Fei had been devoted to saving the human race, so he didn't have time to go to the other divine realms at all. The only time he made friends with the strong masters of other races was in the divine capital dynasty. At that time, it was obvious who was on good terms with Han Fei. However, what puzzled Zhang Xuanyu a little was that Wang Han appeared as Feng Yu's fiancé. This puzzled him, so he had to ask him in person. Zhang Xuanyu knew that Han Fei wouldn't go to the Treasure Hammer Mountain first, let alone the other 6 places where high-quality spiritual treasures had already been dug out. With his personality, he could only go to the Primordial Water Pool and the Sanskrit Pure Land, not to encounter opportunities at all, but to rob. And if Han Fei wanted to rob, he wouldn't only choose one place. He wouldn't let go of any of these 3 places. Therefore, whether he went to the Primordial Water Pool or the Pure Land of Sanskrit, he would inevitably meet Han Fei. Coming in the same batch as Zhang Xuanyu was a group of disciples from the Silent Music Mountain in the Central Sea Divine Realm. The 7 or 8 women were all overjoyed. Ah! God bless us! We're actually so close to the Sanskrit Pure Land. Sanskrit Pure Land, Sister Linger. Among us, you are the luckiest. This Sanskrit Pure Land will definitely show opportunities, because of you. Yes. Every time we explore a treasure trove, Xiaojiu's luck is unbelievably good. It's as if she carries the luck of an entire race. This time, it's not just the Sanskrit Pure Land. Many treasure places are related to the great Tao of music. Jiuer, if you can get a high-quality spiritual treasure, the future of the sound-ending mountain may count on you. Jiu Ling said with a smile, Sisters, don't tease me. Haha, I'm not teasing you. It's just that you're lucky. Your luck is just too good. and we all want to bask in your good luck. That's right. You can even trigger the divine decree of the silent music. Mountain. I don't believe you can't trigger the spiritual treasures of the Sanskrit Pure Land. On the other side, a group of ferocious-looking, burly villains wearing animal skins and holding battle axes, broadswords, big crossbows, and huge swords were escorting a fatty. Ha ha ha, is this the primordial world? It's indeed special, young master. How can we snatch the treasures? The fatty was wearing heavy armor and carrying 6 knives of various colors on his back. He thought for a moment and said, "To the treasure hammer mountain." The big fatty shook his head and said, "No, I'll go to the treasure hammer mountain to wait for the others and occupy that mountain. Let's use the treasure hammer mountain as our temporary base. Whoever belongs to the ancient demon race, the Sky Spider Worm Valley, or the Divine Demon Forest can be eaten. Kill them all and put them in a hot pot." Ha ha ha, young master, that's a good idea. You're making me hungry. But how long do we have to wait? If the 3 big clans are combined, our number of people might not be enough. Someone scolded angrily, F***ck, what are you afraid of? We, God-slaying giant bandit gang, are one of the 3 great bandit gangs of the West Wilderness. If young master wants to eat them, then eat them. 3054 Accidentally discover a primordial treasure while having a meal, too. The big fatty said, "We don't have to wait long. Remember, this time, we come first for killing, and second for snatching treasures. No power in the Central Sea Divine Realm is good. If anyone from the Central Sea Divine Realm dares to have a conflict with us, kill him." The big fatty added, "Also, create conflicts for me even if there are no conflicts." Yes, young master. Primordial water pool. What was flowing here was not ordinary water, but a convergence of spiritual spring water, ground vein spring water, and the weak water. The water here stretched out and was also overgrown with vegetation. When Han Fei and the others came, some major forces had already come. Most of these people had very clear goals and immediately came to the primordial water pool. There were already battles in several places. However, there were some powerful creatures in this primordial water pool. For example, there were flood dragons with soaring vitality and intimidating octopuses. Don't underestimate these creatures. These creatures had lived in the God-ferrying ancient land for tens of thousands of years and couldn't improve their strength further. In the end, they could only become the ultimate creatures with 5 Dao locks. It could be said that every one of these creatures was a real top heavenly talent, the kind that every big clan and sect fought for. Feng Xingliu was fighting a blood-colored dragon flood at the moment. The phoenix soared to the sky and launched a great technique. Even when Feng Xingliu showed his full strength in his first form, it was still not enough. It wasn't until his second form appeared that the blood-colored dragon was crippled. Feng Xingliu said, "Something is wrong. This dragon seems to be walking towards the extreme Dao. And it has gone far." Feng Qingqing said, "This means that it has been a strong master with 5 Dao locks for too long. If it wants to go further, it can only start to cultivate the extreme Dao. Only in this way can it become stronger." Feng Yu said, "The creatures here have high bloodlines and extremely strong bones. They must have lived here for a long time and have been infected by divinity, so they can no longer be regarded as ordinary, perfected star transformation realm cultivators. It's also a form of tempering for you. Han Fei nodded slightly. It's indeed extraordinary. In that case, the previous fireless place seems to be a safe area. Feng Xingliu killed a crimson flood dragon with great efforts. He took a deep breath and said, I think we'd better not fight these creatures. It might be simpler to rob the treasure hunters. Han Fei nodded. That's true. For some reason, Han Fei felt that he had a special connection to this place. Seriously? Can I trigger the spiritual treasures here? After avoiding dozens of native creatures along the way, Han Fei and the others finally came to the central area of the primordial water pool. There were already more than 100 people gathered here. In the middle of the primeval swamp, there was an abrupt green mountain. Such greenness shouldn't have appeared in this primeval land, but it had appeared. At this moment, dozens of places around the mountain were fighting. There were powerful creatures in the water, all of which were extreme Tao creatures, and it took many people to surround them. Of course, the people who surrounded them were not the real top heavenly talents, and there should not be any strong masters among them. On the green mountain, dozens of people were sitting cross-legged facing a tablet, seeming to be feeling something. The arrival of Han Fei and the others only made them a little vigilant, but they didn't take it seriously for the time being. After all, no spiritual treasures had appeared yet. There was no need to attack now unless the other party maliciously asked for a battle. If that happened, they would definitely be boycotted. Landing on the green mountain, Feng Yu said, on the tablet, there are some words left by this god. Feng Qingqing recited, water is formless, and laws have no boundaries. Water can merge with all things, transform into all things, and can be compared to the heavenly path, adapting to the constant changes of the heavenly Tao. The divine path is vast and infinite, and I will use the water law to merge with all methods, opening up a divine path and benefiting future generations. Feng Qingqing said, it sounds like something that this senior left behind after he became a god. Feng Yu said, the water technique can fuse all myriad techniques. Law fusion is a matter for great monarchs. However, most people haven't reached the immortal level. Even if they haven't figured out the way to become a great monarch. It's futile to read this tablet. Feng Xingliu, we don't know anything about water law. These people are useless. They can't even summon a spiritual treasure. Everyone was speechless. Even the people who were sitting cross-legged and comprehending looked back, thinking, what kind of nonsense is this guy talking about? So you're just here to wait for the appearance of spiritual treasures and snatch them? What are you looking at? I'll gouge your eyes out if you keep looking. Smack. Han Fei said, 3 days. Wait for the others to come. If no spiritual treasures appear in 3 days, we can leave. Feng Yu asked, isn't it too hasty? Even ordinary people wouldn't be able to get here in 3 days. Han Fei said, but we can't expect ordinary people to trigger opportunities. Even these strong masters can't figure out the opportunities here and can't attract spiritual treasures to appear. So what if others come and get a spiritual treasure? As long as it's not someone from the Central Sea Divine realm who gets it, I don't care. Feng Yu seemed to be deep in thought. Your words make sense. I can tell that. You're very experienced in robbery. Han Fei said, this is a personal attack. It's an opportunity to attract treasures, and it's also an opportunity to grab treasures. If we can't get any, it means that there's no chance. If there's no chance, we won't wait. 3055 Accidentally discover a primordial treasure while having a meal. 3. Feng Yu nodded. Yes, you're right. Han Fei snorted and looked at the steel for a while. He seemed to feel that there was an opportunity hidden in the steel that could even touch him, but it didn't seem to be fated with him. After watching for a while, Han Fei said, let's walk around. Feng Yu asked, where are we going? Han Fei, here are beautiful green mountains and stunning scenery. We seldom have leisure time, so let's take a leisurely walk in the mountains and enjoy ourselves. Immediately, the other three looked at Han Fei speechlessly. Feng Yu asked, are you here for sightseeing? Don't tell me you want to make another meal or drink a few glasses of wine. Hearing that, Feng Xingliu agreed, good idea. Feng Yu rolled her eyes and pushed Feng Xingliu thousands of kilometers away. We can eat and drink, but you can't. Aren't you going to transcend the monarch tribulation? Where can you find such a good opportunity to gain experience and such strong opponents? Feng Xingliu was speechless. Feng Yu, let me tell you, don't go too far. Han Fei waved at Feng Xingliu and said, Feng Xingliu, catch a fish. Since we're already here, let's have a taste of the delicacy of the primeval land. Feng Qingqing clenched her fists. I'll cheer for you. Feng Xingliu's face turned green. These three people are too much. Forget it. I won't lower myself to their level. However, this is indeed a good place to gain experience. Thinking of delicious food, he couldn't help but click his tongue. Han Fei's cooking is quite delicious. Several hours later, Feng Xingliu returned with an arowana, only to see that Han Fei and the others had set up a big pot and a barbecue grill. They were just waiting for him. Han Fei rubbed his hands. Come on, give it to me. I saw a crab in the southwest. A few itinerant cultivators seemed to be defeated by it. Let's grab it for food. Feng Xingliu shouted, I've just finished fighting and haven't had a bite yet. Han Fei said, it takes time for me to cook. Go and come back quickly. When you come back, the fish meat will be ready. Feng Xingliu swallowed. Okay. Then wait for me. Several hours later, Feng Xingliu returned with the big crab, only to find that Han Fei and the others had already eaten. Half of the fish was gone, but the big fish head was still intact. Feng Xingliu was angry. Didn't you say you would wait for me? Feng Qingqing said dizzily, I saved the fish head for you. Eating the fish head can nourish your brain. I've saved the essence for you. Feng Xingliu was lost for words. Should I thank you? Han Fei said, this fish is not bad. The essence of the fish brain contains a trace of spiritual energy, which is very beneficial to body tempering and soul cultivation. It can relieve fatigue and instantly energize you. Stop talking. I'll eat it. Feng Xingliu reached out and grabbed a large jelly-like mass of fish brains. Crunch, crunch hiss, this tastes good indeed. Little Qingqing, do you want some? Feng Qingqing was a little dizzy, and her body was shining brightly. She was refining the essence of the fish meat and had no time to talk to him. Han Fei said, little Qingqing has eaten fish roe. It's no worse than your fish brain. Feng Xingliu asked, did you leave me some fish roe? Han Fei said, hee hee, you can go catch more fish. Feng Yu smiled. It wouldn't be bad if this was how they spent their time in the God-fearing ancient land. While dismembering the crab, Han Fei remarked, look at the crab roe. It's full of essence and shining with divine light. It's almost divine. Seeing this, Feng Xingliu hurried to speed up and finished the fish brain and some fish meat. The crab had just been dismembered. Han Fei glanced at him. What are you still doing here? Feng Xingliu knocked on the crab. I'm waiting to eat the crab. Han Fei said, no, go get more good. Over there, there's a giant shell. It's very strong and has extraordinary defense. The others have been besieging it for 4 hours. That kind of clam meat is definitely delicious. Maybe we can dig out pearls from it. Feng Xingliu swallowed. Then save some crab for me. I want to eat crab roe. 2 days later. Now Feng Xingliu didn't need Han Fei to order him around anymore. He would just catch whatever he wanted to eat. Anyway, it didn't matter to them matter how much they ate, except for Feng Qingqing. Because she wasn't strong enough yet, she often ate herself dizzy, but her strength was rapidly improving. Whether it was her soul or her physique, they were growing and changing at an astonishing speed. On the 3rd day, Feng Xingliu chased a giant razor clam all the way to the foot of the mountain. Now, the nearby prehistoric ferocious beasts were all afraid of Feng Xingliu. When they saw others, they could still fight, but when they saw Feng Xingliu, they would just run away. However, Feng Xingliu was not something that these ferocious beasts could run away from easily. The razor clam plunged into the mountain, trying to get in. Feng Xingliu clutched a section of its shell and flapped his fiery feathers, trying to pull it out. How could the giant razor clam be a match for Feng Xingliu? In the end, it couldn't hold on and was forcibly pulled out of the mountain. Bang! Due to inertia, Feng Xingliu was sent flying. At that moment, a dazzling divine light suddenly gushed out of the mountain. It was a calabash. Buzz! In an instant, on the green mountain, all the strong masters took action. It's a spiritual treasure. He can dig out a spiritual treasure by doing this? Feng Xingliu and the others had been hunting and eating here for several days. In the eyes of the others, these guys were simply slacking off. But who would have thought that it was this guy who dug out the spiritual treasure? 3056 accidentally discover a primordial treasure while having a meal. 4. Even Han Fei was lost for words. Seriously? Feng Xingliu abandoned the giant razor clam and went straight for the calabash. The razor clam took the opportunity to swish away, but he didn't care. Ha ha ha. Feng Yu, Wang Han, I've got a spiritual treasure. The speed of the spiritual treasure was not slow. Feng Xingliu was chasing it. In the void. Someone shouted, Humph, you think you can get the spiritual treasure? In your dreams. Someone triggered the mist here and tried to block Feng Xingliu. Feng Yu shouted coldly as the heavenly phoenix appeared and flames burned the sky. Don't even think of snatching what we phoenix divine race finds. The void mist was swept away, and her pair of fiery feathers blocked the 6 people. However, on the Green Mountain, thousands of strong masters were mobilized one after another. Feng Yu could only attack everywhere. Under the suppression of the flames, the enemies retreated. Someone shouted, how can 4 people compete for this treasure? 10,000 mile rope. Someone summoned a connate spiritual treasure and chased after Feng Xingliu. He grabbed Feng Xingliu's ankle, and the latter froze. The spiritual treasure that was only one hand away from him ran away. Dozens of guys approached Feng Xingliu. Clank, clank, clank. Swish. In the void, a 9-foot-long ring broadsword suddenly came at a speed that was more than 30 times the speed of light. Puff. 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 Those who tried to grab the treasures were all killed. Tweet. The heavenly phoenix tore through the sky and stopped in the blink of an eye. Its divine claw grabbed the middle part of the spiritual treasure, calabash. Put down the spiritual treasure. Feng Yu, you can't take it away. Han Fei had already taken action. His body flashed in the air, and his knife intent soared to the sky. He launched 100 attacks in a row, but none of them could resist him. Feng Yu's fire domain swept across, and there were already 100 strong masters who were blown away or burned by her. Feng Xingliu struggled to break free from the 1,000-mile rope and cursed. You ants, how dare you snatch my spiritual treasure? I'll kill you now. 13 Phoenix Feather Swords. For a moment, the three of them were on a killing spree in the sky. The difference was that Feng Xingliu could only stop a dozen people even if he used all his strength. As for Han Fei and Feng Yu, they swept all the way and killed more than 100 people on the spot. Although they couldn't kill them, it was because of the conditions here and the battle was too rushed. Information popped up in Han Fei's eyes, and he said telepathically, it's a mid-quality nature spiritual treasure. Feng Xingliu is really lucky. Feng Yu said, that's enough. None of us are experts in water law. We're already lucky enough to get a mid-quality nature spiritual treasure. Don't think of obtaining a high-quality one. Let's go. Suddenly, someone laughed. Feng Yu, throw the spiritual treasure over. Otherwise, your sister won't be able to survive. Immediately, Feng Yu and Han Fei looked back, only to see a white-haired young man sneering, not afraid that Feng Yu wouldn't take the bait. At this moment, in the sky, everyone stopped and waited for the moment when Feng Yu threw away the spiritual treasure. However, Han Fei shouted, go to hell. Steal. Clank, clank, clank. The 9-foot-long ring broadsword kept ringing to cover up the void stealing technique. The young man was in a daze. In the next moment, a huge broadsword spanned thousands of kilometers and nailed him to the mountain. Han Fei grabbed Feng Qingqing's arm and spun the 9-foot-long ring broadsword, and the ring kept clanking. Young master. Sky-cleaving star-cutting knife, the 6th move, galaxy flowing. Puff. Puff. Many of the young man's followers were instantly minced by the broadsword beam, and their souls were destroyed. The young master, who hadn't regained consciousness yet, was also minced by the knife-edge arrow, and his body was crushed by Han Fei. So strong. That's the young master of the waterform sect. Although he's not a big force, he's a Tao prover. Although his strength is suppressed, how can a sky opener kill him so easily? Feng Yu took the opportunity to pull Feng Xingliu over and shouted, come. Bang. With a bang, the explosion swept out for thousands of kilometers. Han Fei leaped and landed on the heavenly phoenix. Behind him, many strong masters chased after him, but the heavenly phoenix was getting faster and faster, reaching 50 times the speed of light. With a swish, it left everyone behind. As for the itinerant cultivators, when they saw this scene, they all revealed looks of amazement and sighed. Someone smiled bitterly. This is the power of a superpower. Even 1,000 people couldn't stop them. 3057 With the lingering sound of celestial music, reunite with the beauty, 1. Thank you, readers. The heavenly phoenix swept across the sky at an unbelievable speed. The heavenly talents chasing behind were also quite speechless. Someone wondered, how can a perfected star transformation realm cultivator erupt with such speed? How is it possible? Even if she used all his secret methods, she shouldn't be so fast, right? Even Han Fei was a little shocked. 50 times the speed of light? Feng Yu said, the heavenly phoenix is good at speed. It's even faster than the ancient rock. Han Fei clicked his tongue. Sure enough, Feng Yu was too good at pretending in the past. With this speed, she could even take first place on the god roll, let alone the heaven roll. Feng Xingliu asked in delight, where's the calabash? Let me see it. Feng Xingliu laughed out loud. See, I told you that I had great luck. It's mainly because you were too lazy and exploited my labor. Look, you suffered a loss, didn't you? Han Fei said, okay, it's just a calabash. Keep it. It just so happens that you can use it when you transcend the monarch tribulation. That being said, Han Fei was indeed surprised. It was truly unbelievable that he could get a nature spiritual treasure when he was only in the sky opening realm. This god-fearing ancient land was really unbelievable. He had braved hellfire for 200 years and only got the thunder god's hammer. Feng Xingliu only fought those weak native beasts but had obtained such a treasure. Perhaps it was because he was a fool. Feng Qingqing asked, a nature spiritual treasure. Can you keep it now? Of course. Feng Yu said, at the level of a nature spiritual treasure, there's no need to drip blood on it. This guy is lucky. One day later, in a certain ravine, a large calabash rose to the sky. Feng Xingliu shouted, my calabash of creation is unparalleled. It can turn fire into liquid and refine it into the fire calamity fluid. It can also swallow endless seawater and condense a water fatal array. Even the gods have to retreat when they see me. Han Fei sneered. Alright, stop bragging. How can a nature spiritual treasure suppress a god? If you can use 1/10 of the combat power of this calabash, now, you should thank God. Being exposed by Han Fei, Feng Xingliu was not annoyed but rather triumphant. Jealousy, this is jealousy. When we reach the Sanskrit Pure Land, you can eat hot pot, drink wine, and leave the fight to me. Feng Qingqing was lost for words. Do you want to bump into another nature spiritual treasure? Feng Xingliu said confidently, what do you know? It seems to be unintentional, but it actually shows that I'm peerlessly lucky. Feng Yu rolled her eyes and patted the calabash. I can tell at a glance that you're a stupid calabash. That's why you chose such a stupid master. Buzz buzz buzz. The calabash shook violently, and Feng Xingliu immediately said angrily, Feng Yu, I warn you not to be too arrogant. Look, my calabash has something against you. Bah. Suddenly, Han Fei and Feng Yu rose. Feng Xingliu was stunned for a moment and then was shocked, because they saw a 7-colored pillar of light soaring into the sky. In the void, layers of ripples spread over. Immediately, Feng Yu and Han Fei left the calabash. Feng Yu said, a rare treasure has appeared in the Sanskrit Pure Land. It's even more shocking than your creation calabash. Feng Xingliu, keep an eye on little Qingqing. Han Fei said, let the calabash take action if necessary. He's stronger than you. Feng Xingliu. Swish, swish. Before Feng Xingliu replied, Han Fei and Feng Yu had already disappeared at an extremely fast speed. Feng Xingliu was speechless, and then he said to Feng Qingqing, look, this is my luck. If I hadn't come, would this treasure have come out? But I won't fight for it. A gentleman loves treasures, but takes them in the right way. Feng Qingqing said, shut up and follow them. Sanskrit Pure Land. A large-scale war was going on, and all kinds of mystic music laws were rising to the sky, as well as soul sound killing techniques. From afar, a woman shouted, this treasure is an opportunity for our silent music mountain. Do you want to be our enemy? Someone sneered. The sound-ending mountain is nothing. It's not even one of the top 10 forces in the Central Sea. Its name is far from enough to intimidate people. Someone shouted, everyone, this is a high-quality nature spiritual treasure. With this treasure, the path of a great monarch is under your feet. You even have a chance to become a god. You can't give such a treasure to the sound ending mountain. When Han Fei and the others arrived, they saw 8 women from the sound ending mountain. Some were playing the zither, some were playing the flute. Some were playing the pipa, some were playing the bone, sun, and some were beating the drums. Woo, 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 woo. There were only 8 of them, but the mystic sounds had transformed into a magnificent army surrounded by billions of ghosts, protecting a woman who was refining a green jade flute. However, how could the 8 of them resist 1,000 people? At this moment, the 8 women were burning their lives, and their clothes were dyed red. It seemed that they couldn't last long. If it weren't for the fact that everyone's strength had been suppressed to the peak of the sky-opening realm, these disciples of the sound-ending mountain wouldn't have lasted even 10 seconds. Sound-ending mountain? Han Fei couldn't help but remember that when he just left the chaotic wasteland, he had killed 2 disciples of the sound-ending mountain. This force was full of monsters with powerful soul power and terrifying fighting intent. He had succeeded in killing them with a sneak attack. If it were a head-on battle, it might not be easy for him to win. Feng Yu said, there are actually quite a few strong masters here. Your little wife is also here. And the woman holding a blade of grass in her hand is Chen Fangchao. She ranks 3rd on the carefree level god roll. Her strength cannot be underestimated. 3058, with the lingering sound of celestial music, reunite with the beauty, too. Thank you, readers. Han Fei also frowned slightly. If Yi Qingchan wanted to snatch the treasure, should he take action? Feng Yu asked, are you going to give up on the treasure? Han Fei thought for a moment and then shook his head slightly. No. If I can confirm Yi Qingchan's identity, I can even give this treasure to her as a gift, but now we can't give it up. The corners of Feng Yu's mouth curled up. Alright, a high-quality nature spiritual treasure is indeed a shocking treasure. When the 9-level sound ending array on the sound-ending mountain is broken, you will block the enemy. And I will snatch the treasure. Han Fei smiled. No problem. Han Fei couldn't help but smile. This God-fearing ancient land was really a good place. In just a few days, a high-quality nature spiritual treasure had appeared, even stronger than the thunder god's hammer. If the woman refined such a spiritual treasure, she would probably be able to kill away though. From the siege of the 1,000 people, Feng Xingliu and Feng Qingqing didn't arrive until 100 seconds later. Feng Xingliu put away the calabash. What's going on? Why aren't you attacking? Feng Yu said, when the 9-level sound-ending array is broken. Feng Qingqing asked, did the people from the sound-ending mountain trigger a spiritual treasure? A high-quality nature spiritual treasure. Huh? Feng Xingliu's eyes glowed. This is good stuff. We have to grab it. Pfft. The woman who was refining the high-quality nature spiritual treasure in the middle seemed to be too anxious and spewed out a mouthful of essence blood. Joer. Linger, ignore us. Think of a way to use the power of the high-quality nature spiritual treasure to leave the battlefield. Hearing someone calling the woman's name, Han Fei suddenly perked up. He looked at the woman who was refining the jade flute in the field, and his eyes glowed. Join Ling? Back then, he had given the heaven-concealing divine technique to everyone who went out of the raging sea. Join Ling was no exception. All these years, no one knew where she had gone. The sea realm was so big that it was too easy for a person to hide. Sure enough, when Han Fei saw through the illusion, he found that the woman's appearance was fake, and he did find traces of the heaven-concealing divine technique. In addition to the heaven-concealing divine technique, he also felt that the woman seemed to have cultivated another powerful concealment technique, which was even stronger than the heaven-concealing divine technique, so he couldn't directly see through it. However, the woman knew the heaven-concealing divine technique, which was almost enough to prove that she was Join Ling. Feng Yu was puzzled. What's wrong with you? Han Fei said solemnly, that woman is from our human race. She's hiding in the sound-ending mountain. I'm afraid we have to help her. Feng Yu said in surprise, from your human race? An acquaintance? Feng Xingliu also said, does your human race have such a strong master? Besides you? Han Fei said, our human race is full of strong masters. Tisk. Feng Yu said helplessly, your human race is really full of talents. There's also an expert who can trigger a high-quality nature spiritual treasure. Great, another spiritual treasure is gone. Feng Xingliu said in a low voice, Han Fei, this woman seems quite extraordinary. Is she another girlfriend of yours? Han Fei. Feng Yu blinked and looked at Han Fei weirdly. Feng Yu secretly chuckled and said to him via voice transmission, heh. Little junior brother, I'm afraid you'll have to explain if Yi Qingchan regains her memories. Han Fei said, senior sister, prepare to attack. In the arena, Join Ling's face was pale, and there was blood in front of her. She endured the backlash of the spiritual treasure and forcibly blew the green jade flute. Woo woo. Buzz, buzz, buzz. 7 pillars of light fell from the sky in a row, and the sound shook in all directions. The great Tao rumbled and trembled, and the immortal sound curled up, turning into a fog that spread out from the 9-level sound-ending array. Someone's expression changed slightly. It's the 7 emotions demonic sound. Everyone, seal your hearing and guard your soul. Woo, woo, woo. However, as the flute sounded, a woman-like Dharma idol in a gorgeous dress appeared behind Join Ling. The Dharma idol was stroking a zither. Dang, dang, dang. For a moment, the sound of the zither and the flute sounded. Many people who had fallen into the 7 emotions demonic sound were swept by the zither and exploded. Not good. It's a zither demon Dharma idol. Let's join forces and break the zither music. Once this Dharma idol is broken, this woman won't be able to last long. Boom, boom, boom. For a moment, all kinds of soul-killing techniques were launched. After a full half an hour, suddenly, a blade of grass rose into the air and slashed down. In the void, a blade of grass sword chi grew. The sword chi formed grass in the void and turned into reality. The sword chi suddenly showed combat power not supposed to belong to the sky-opening realm and erupted with the power of the monarch realm. Pfft. Finally, Jiuyin Ling spewed out a mouthful of essence blood, and the 9-level sound ending array was broken. At that moment, all the strong masters took action. Senior sister, let's save her. Sky-cleaving star-cutting knife, the 9th move, star catastrophe. At that moment, the world dimmed. The day seemed to have turned into night. And stars flickered in the sky. And the stars were like knives, cutting through the twilight and sweeping across the battlefield. Chen Fengcao's blade of grass was shattered, and Yi Qingchan's killer move was broken. All the experts here fell into the dazzling blade-like starlight. Wang Han, the bandit from the West Wilderness? At that moment, it suddenly began to rain heavily. The raindrops were like swords, rushing towards Jiuyin Ling and the others. It's the rain demon Yu Donglu, the rainfall of 10,000 swords. Damn it, this guy is even stronger than Chen Fengcao. Humph. However, at this moment, an ordinary young man brandished the spear in his hand. In an instant, my spear turned into a sea. 3059 with the lingering sound of celestial music, reunite with the beauty, 3. Thank you readers. At that moment, the heavy rain seemed to have stopped, and a man holding a spear was so fast that time seemed to have stopped. Billions of spear lights seemed to catch every drop of rain, causing the rain to explode. Han Fei was overjoyed. Was Zhang Xuanyu here? Bang! 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 In an instant, many experts unleashed their extraordinary combat power. With a tweet, the sound of a phoenix spread throughout the minds of the shocked people from the sound-ending mountain. If you don't want to die, come up. The strong masters of the sound-ending mountain were not fools. They immediately knew who helped them: Feng Yu of the Phoenix divine race, Wang Han, a bandit from the West Wilderness, and an unknown spear expert. However, they didn't know why these people would save them. The sound-ending mountain had never interacted with them. However, the 8 women shook their heads at the same time. It wasn't that they didn't want to leave, but that they were held back by the power of the enemy. Once they completely gave up their resistance now, even with Feng Yu's help, they couldn't escape. One of them shouted, "Jiuer, leave first. If you leave, we will definitely be safe." Jiuyin Ling's eyes were filled with tears. Senior uncle, senior sister. Go. Before Jiuyin Ling could refute, Feng Yu had already picked her up. Han Fei and Zhang Xuanyu didn't delay. With a flash, they landed on the heavenly phoenix. Swish. In the blink of an eye, the heavenly phoenix had already run away. The only people who could keep up were Yi Qingchan, Chen Fengcao, and Yu Donglu, who had turned the rain into swords. Carrying the 9-foot-long ring broadsword ring, Han Fei guarded the rear and collided with the 3 of them. Yi Qingchan didn't seem to expect this either. The timing of the attack was too perfect. At this moment, Yi Qingchan was casting a technique and had no time to pay attention to it. Also, the attack was so fast that Han Fei almost didn't have the time to react. The mysterious assassin seemed determined to kill Yi Qingchan. Although he didn't meet Han Fei, he had formed a close cooperation with Han Fei. However, Han Fei suddenly extended his hand and pointed at the back of Yi Qingchan's neck with his finger as a sword. Yi Qingchan thought that she was going to be attacked from the front and back. She punched Han Fei's heart and held a jade slip in each hand. Bam! Ding! However, the anticipated pincer attack didn't happen. Yi Qingchan discovered that Han Fei had helped her block the attack from behind, and her palm pressed Against Han Fei's chest was surging Dao runes. Humph. Han Fei grunted and spun the 9-foot-long ring broadsword. His body was instantly wrapped in the void and quickly disappeared into the void world. The void world was a comprehension of realms. It had nothing to do with strength. One wouldn't be unable to enter because their strength was restricted. The void world. As soon as he came in, Han Fei saw 1,000 cold lights stabbing at him in an instant. Han Fei's body was surrounded by qi and blood, and the knife aura around him blocked these spikes. But at the moment he blocked these spikes, he saw a swift figure had already fled far away. The Southern Dipper? The other party was very fast and seemed to know Han Fei's strength very well. Knowing that he couldn't kill him, he dodged and retreated, giving Han Fei no chance to chase him. Swish. When Han Fei appeared again, he had already caught up to the heavenly phoenix. He stepped into the void and landed on the heavenly phoenix. In his perception, Yi Qingchan didn't chase him anymore, but stood in the void, frowning slightly and looking at Han Fei. Yi Qingchan didn't chase him, so you. Donglu and Chen Fengchao naturally gave up, because they could see that Han Fei was very strong. Plus Feng Yu and the mysterious spear-wielding expert, it was useless for them to chase. Han Fei also frowned slightly. In his perception, he didn't see the Southern Dipper assassin. He muttered to himself, what a powerful killer. Why does the Southern Dipper want to kill Yi Qingchan? However, now that Yi Qingchan's guardians had arrived, he didn't need to do anything. Besides, with this hunt, Yi Qingchan should be vigilant. Suddenly, Han Fei felt a strange gaze. When he turned around, he saw Jiuyin Ling looking at him quietly. Jiuyin Ling actually smiled slightly and said in a weak voice, perhaps this is fate? Han Fei knew that Jiuyin Ling had recognized him. Jiuyin Ling always recognized him easily. He said angrily, why don't you run after taking the high-quality nature spiritual treasure? I know you had the ability from the power you unleashed just now. If you run away, the other 8 people will be able to survive. No one will deliberately kill the powerhouses of a super force for an already missed spiritual treasure. With that, Han Fei cast the Heaven Enlightenment Divine Technique on her, and Jiuyin Ling's pale face immediately turned normal. Oh, they are my senior uncles and senior sisters. Jiuyin Ling tried to refute Han Fei in the weakest tone, but in the eyes of others, this seemed especially strange. Jiuyin Ling was like an obedient student who had been criticized by her teacher but didn't dare to refute. Zhang Xuanyu immediately covered his head and said, Xiao Jiao, I haven't seen you for so long. Why has your personality become even weaker? In the past, after spending some time with He Xiaoyu, Jiuyin Ling finally became a lot more cheerful. However, now she seemed to have recovered her fairy-like state and was a little weak when facing Han Fei. 3060 With the lingering sound of celestial music, reunite with the beauty, for cough, cough. Thank you, readers. Feng Yu said, well, aren't you going to introduce yourselves? Zhang Xuanyu's expression changed and he returned to his original appearance. Feng Qingqing immediately exclaimed, it's you? Zhang Xuanyu? A gentle smile hung on Zhang Xuanyu's handsome face. Tisk, TSK. Miss Qingqing, you're getting more and more beautiful. I'm really tempted. Han Fei said, talk decently. Zhang Xuanyu immediately smiled and said, Zhang Xuanyu, a human. Jiuyin Ling's expression softened. Human, Jiuyin Ling. Han Fei said, Zhang Xuanyu, my brother, a disciple of the ghost straight in the East Sea Divine Realm. Jiuyin Ling. My friend. We're just good friends. Jiuyin Ling suddenly spoke. She slowly stood up and bowed slightly to Feng Yu. And the others. Thank you for your help. However, Feng Qingqing and Feng Yu both looked at Han Fei strangely. Were they really good friends? Feng Yu smiled and said, I'm Feng Yu, from the Phoenix Divine Race. Nice to meet you. This is my sister, Feng Qingqing, and this dandy is my younger brother, Feng Xingliu. Feng Xingliu's face turned green. Wait, Feng Yu, don't go too far. You're slandering me. Zhang Xuanyu said, I know all of them. I don't think Jiuyin Ling is familiar with them. Xiao Jiao, since you've obtained a high-quality nature spiritual treasure, I'm afraid you'll have to hide in the God-ferrying ancient land for a while. Han Fei took out 2 jade slips and handed them to Jiuyin Ling and Zhang Xuanyu. This is the strongest version of the heaven-concealing divine technique, the divine concealment technique. Only gods can detect your real appearances. Oh. So powerful? Zhang Xuanyu couldn't help being a little surprised. Gee, it's really different to have the demon purification pot. Han Fei seemed to hear the resentment in Zhang Xuanyu's words and punched his shoulder. Humph. I'll give it to you, okay? Zhang Xuanyu sneered. I don't want it. I will be killed in 2 days if I get it. On the other side, Feng Xingliu hurriedly said, Do you have such a good item? Han Fei, I want it. Feng Qingqing said, Me too. Feng Yu gave him a knowing look. In the end, each of them was given a divine concealment technique. Han Fei said, Well, Xiao Jiao, let me see the high-quality nature spiritual treasure. Jiuyin Ling seemed to have adapted to the reunion with Han Fei, so she handed it over. Do you want it or not? You should need it more than me now. Upon hearing this, everyone looked at Jiuyin Ling, especially Feng Yu and Feng Qingqing. The 2 women could bet that there must be a story between this woman and Han Fei. This was a high-quality nature spiritual treasure. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say that such a treasure could create a super large force, but this woman was willing to give it to Han Fei. It was ridiculous. Han Fei retorted without thinking, Why would I need a flute? I can't play it. Jiuyin Ling smiled. Then I can play it for you in the future. Everyone? Feng Xingliu scratched his head and looked at Feng Yu. Did Han Fei cheat on you? F***ck off. Zhang Xuanyu crossed his arms and watched the show, and information popped up in Han Fei's eyes. Name creation void divine flute. Introduction. In the chaotic era, there was a divine bamboo of creation between reality and illusion in the world. It contains the laws of the world. Every time it sways, mystic sounds rise from the world. It can calm the soul, dispel evil, and purify the mind. All darkness will be suppressed under the cover of the mystic sounds. This bamboo is born with spirituality. Once it acknowledges a master, under the same rules of the heavenly Tao, it can find its master. Quality, high-quality nature spiritual treasure. Effect 1. Soul purification. Whoever owns this flute has a pure soul and is not afraid of all negative effects. Effect 2. Mystic music to stop killing. When this flute sounds, it can dispel fighting intent. Anyone below the level of gods who disobeys this will be killed by the sound. Effect 3. Nothingness combination. The owner of this flute can transform into An invisible and invincible body. Every time this effect is used, the flute has to be played for 3 days. Effect 4. Under the same rules of the heavenly Tao, no matter how far away it can find its master. Can't be reforged. Unrefined. Note, this flute was made by a goddess who yearns for and seeks peace. She hopes that the successor can fulfill her wish. As expected of a high-quality nature spiritual treasure. Feng Xingliu asked, so what? What can this flute do? Han Fei smiled. You don't need to know that. With that, Han Fei handed the flute to Jiuyin Ling and told her its power via voice transmission. Then he said, this flute is very suitable for you. Let's go, and I'll find a place to help you refine it. Thank you, readers. 1 day later, Han Fei and the others had turned into a 6-person team and were setting off towards the Treasure Hammer Mountain. Perhaps it was Han Fei's illusion, but he felt that the treasure drop rate of the God-fearing ancient land was too high. He had only walked through 2 treasure troves, but 2 nature spiritual treasures had appeared, and their quality was quite high. More importantly, he hadn't used the vast ocean navigator yet. Although there were relatively few treasures left behind by the gods in the Treasure Hammer Mountain, and only 2 hadn't been excavated, Han Fei didn't intend to let them go. However, at this moment, the Treasure Hammer Mountain had become a bloody killing ground. A group of 32 bandits were gathered here. Lu Renquang and a ferocious man, a woman in animal skins, and an elegant man were sitting in front of a big pot, eating heartily. Inside the pot was a huge, ancient demonic elephant that had been deboned. The meat in the pot was fragrant and shining. Beside Lu Renquang, a black broadsword was flying, shining with brilliance. On the periphery, thousands of people surrounded the Treasure Hammer Mountain. In a battlefield, 28 bandits were fighting crazily against more than 300 strong masters of the ancient demon race. Pfft. Someone killed an ancient demon expert with an axe. With a ferocious look, he laughed out loud. Trash of the ancient demon race, is this all you've got? Someone was carrying a pair of meteor hammers that were as big as themselves. Every time the hammers fell, they were like stars falling. At this moment, his body was dripping with blood, stained with the enemy's blood. Someone's iron fists were like spiritual treasures, tearing apart mountains and stones. No one who was approached by him could resist his 3 attacks. The so-called number 1 general of the ancient demon race was also in this violent battle. However, he, who was on the god roll of the carefree level, could only barely hold back a bandit. Yang Zhan burst into fury. You bandits of the West Wilderness! How dare you slaughter our experts? You're not hunting for treasures, but killing. Puff. The tomboy who was gnawing on the bones laughed. Idiot, you're right. You ancient demons are exactly who we want to kill. Lu Renquang, on the other hand, flicked his finger on the black broadsword next to him. With a clang, the sound spread out. Lu Renquang shouted, the spiritual treasure of the Treasure Hammer Mountain has already appeared. Why don't you come and snatch it? Are all the heavenly talents of the sea realm as useless as you? You don't even dare to snatch the spiritual treasure? Many onlookers looked solemn and seemed to be hesitating. Someone said to each other via voice transmission, isn't this God-slaying bandit a little too arrogant and domineering? 30 people against more than 300 people, and he still dares to provoke us? Someone said, what do you know? We're just waiting for these people to exhaust themselves. The God-slaying bandits are indeed powerful, but no matter How strong they are, there is a limit. They can't continue fighting endlessly. Someone echoed, that's right. There's no need to fight the god-slaying bandits now. The probability of death is a little high. Someone responded, do you dare to fight them? These bandits from the west wilderness are not kind-hearted. Countless souls have died under their hands. Someone was tempted. Haven't you noticed that the combat power of these bandits is continuously declining? After fighting for 5 days in a row, they can't hold on anymore. Someone said, let's wait. When they're really exhausted, we will start to charge. When the time comes, we'll join forces to kill them. At this moment, the strong masters of the ancient demon race who were fighting in the arena were used to being domineering. When they came to the treasure Hammer Mountain, they found that someone was occupying the mountain and directly attacked, only to be crushed. It wasn't just the ancient demon race. Countless strong masters from other major forces had also fought against the bandits. In just a few days, countless of them had been killed. Opposite Lu Renquang, the elegant man said, young master, it's already the 5th day. Although Old Su and the others are all at the carefree level, their strength has been suppressed after all, and they will still be tired if they keep fighting. The elegant man asked, what if the experts here gang up on us? The man said, we can hold out for half a day. The tomboy spat. Young master hasn't taken action yet. Lu Renquang chuckled and said, if these people are tough enough and don't rush to kill us, they can crush us in 2 hours at most. Unfortunately, they are just a motley crew. The people I'm waiting for haven't arrived yet. Let's wait a little longer. The elegant man said, young master, it's not impossible if you want to stall for more time. For example, if you attack at the right time to intimidate the enemies, you can try this treasure broadsword. The tomboy declared, wish young master success. The man who was eating meat raised his head and grinned. Haha. Since you're going to take action, young master, why don't you tell them your name? The elegant man smiled. Of course. Judging from the time, young master should make his name known now. After this God-fearing ancient land trial, the entire sea realm will know the name of young master. The tomboy smiled and said, and I, the wife of young master. Lu Renquang chuckled, slowly got up, and said indifferently, alas. I always want to show my power in front of others like Fei Fei did. I want to show it to him when he comes, but unfortunately. The tomboy said, it's not a pity. If he can't see it, he can only blame his bad luck. Lu Renquang heaved a sigh. He picked up the black broadsword with one hand and stepped out of the mountain. Thank you, readers. Roar. 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 Is young master finally going to take action? Ha ha ha. Young master finally can't hold it in anymore. Tisk, tsk. From now on, everybody will know the name of young master. Chaotic times breed great bandits. Our young master's time has come. The bandits who were fighting fiercely for 5 days were waiting for this moment. Of course, they knew that they couldn't fight for half a month, but they were looking forward to witnessing the rise of Lu Renquang with their own eyes. But to their surprise, they suppressed their enemies for 5 days with their bravery. What's wrong? That fatty seems to be going to take action. Why are those West Wilderness bandits so excited? What's so special about the young master of the god-slaying bandits? No matter how strong he is, he's only in the perfected star transformation realm. How strong can he be? Lu Renkuang said peacefully with a smile, everyone, come back. Leave the rest to me. Yes, young master. For a moment, the 28 bandits who were fighting fiercely agreed and then stopped. But the strong masters of the ancient demon race felt that these people had finally been beaten to such an exhausted state. How could they let them go? At this time, Yang Zhan suddenly shouted in a low voice, don't let any of them go. These people are all monarchs. If we can kill them in one go, we can seriously injure the god-slaying bandits. However, as soon as Yang Zhan said so, an ancient demonic dragon that was fighting the bandits suddenly froze, and a black hole appeared behind him. In the next moment, Lu Renkuang's figure had just stepped out of the mountain. A moment ago when he walked out of the black hole, the next moment. With a slash, the ancient demon dragon snake's soul was destroyed. Then, Lu Renkuang raised his broadsword, and black flames burned the sky behind him. The black flames transformed into a faceless black giant behind him. The broadsword rose, the Dao runes surged, the broadsword fell, and black flames enveloped it, ignoring the void distance. Pfft. An ancient demon heavenly tiger sensed a life-threatening crisis, and its soul suppressing godly weapon flew out. However, with a crack, the soul-subduing godly weapon was instantly shattered. And the person was killed. Before his soul could escape, he was locked by the black flames and burned to ashes in just a few seconds. Yang Zhan was brimming with fighting intent. All the strong masters were gathered here, and Lu Renkuang, like Wang Han, was obviously a super strong master who was very strong but obscure. Fighting with such a strong master was a real trial. Lu Renkuang chuckled. I'll kill you with our slashes. Yang Zhan was inexplicably angry. In your dream. With a faint smile on his face, Lu Renkuang slashed out, and a boundless, baleful aura seemed to sweep across the world. Yang Zhan's expression suddenly changed as he summoned the giant Vajra ape. Both of them were shaken back hundreds of kilometers by the baleful aura. Yang Zhan roared again, fuse. Killing Dao. Yang Zhan resolutely fused with the giant diamond ape, and his body grew several times larger. The long Vajra stick in his hand thrust out like a spear, seeming to be enhanced by infinite fighting intent. Someone was shocked. That's Yang Zhan's art of killing intent. He once defeated 5 experts on the god roll with it. How can he use it so quickly? On the top of the mountain, the big man holding a bone grinned and said, he wants to compete with us on killing intent? What is this guy thinking? A bandit who retreated couldn't help shaking his head. Isn't this person underestimating young master too much? That's it? Someone sighed. The carefree level god roll doesn't deserve its reputation. Seeing this, Lu Renkuang chuckled and said, killing intent. Isn't this thing used to intimidate people? Do you use it to fight? Lu Renkuang just waved his hand casually, and a scene of corpses littered everywhere appeared in the void. Many people were shocked. How many people had this person killed to create such a terrifying scene in his knife intent? Yang Zhan was also taken aback, feeling that his killing intent was being crushed inch by inch. The power he had been so proud of couldn't resist this almost suffocating power at all. Pfft. The killing intent was shattered, and half of Yang Zhan's body was blown up. This is the second slash. At that moment, countless strong masters of the ancient demon race charged at him. Come on, let's cover the retreat. Take young master Yang Zhan away. However, Lu Renkuang still smiled and said, "It's useless. I haven't finished." Slashing. When Lu Renkuang was about to launch the third attack, he saw a big calabash flying close, on which Zhang Xuanyu was waving his hand. "Fatty, fatty." Upon hearing this, Lu Renkuang couldn't help but look in the direction of the newcomers. He didn't know any of them. However, who else could call him fatty? Lu Renkuang grinned. As he strode forward, hundreds of black holes appeared in the field. Those holes seemed to appear out of thin air, and the experts of the ancient demon race who stayed behind to cover the rear, or the expert who was trying to take Yang Zhan away, suddenly felt their bodies stiffen. In the next moment, they saw someone walking out of the big hole that sucked them in. It was Lu Renkuang, who had seriously injured Yang Zhan with 2 slashes. On the battlefield, from each of the hundreds of black holes, a Lu Renkuang walked out, each carrying a black long broadsword. The knife rose and fell. Thank you, readers. Puff. 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 Hundreds of people were crushed by the broadsword beam and their souls were destroyed. At this moment, Lu Renkuang's leisure voice came over. The third slash, stars. Destruction. **T. Hiss. In an instant, the onlookers exclaimed. The impact of this scene was too huge. A perfected star transformation realm cultivator attacked more than 300 strong masters of the same realm at the same time. Was he King serious? Even Yang Zhan was horrified, as he was also sucked in. However, unlike others, he had a nature spiritual treasure protecting his body, so Lu Renkuang's third attack was blocked by a jade shield. Lu Renkuang curled his lips, his face a little dark. Not bad. Deep blue swallow. Although Yang Zhan blocked Lu Renkuang's third attack, the black hole that sucked him up suddenly expanded crazily like a huge abyssal mouth, trying to swallow Yang Zhan and his spiritual treasure. There were more than 300 members of the ancient demon race, and nearly 100 of them managed to block the attack, but in the end, only 7 or 8 of them managed to survive the black hole. Shoot! Kuang is so strong? Zhang Xuanyu was shocked. Lu Renkuang had become ridiculously strong. Han Fei frowned slightly and said, "It's not that this guy is strong, but that deep blue roar and the strange big hole. We have watched this guy suck people with this big hole since we were young, but at that time, he was far from being able to swallow others. In this world, there's no one who only swallows and never spits out. So it must be that this guy has discovered the usefulness of this black hole. Feng Yu, no matter what the reason is, they're indeed very strong. Are these people god-slaying bandits?" At this moment, on the god-slaying bandits' side, the bandits all laughed. "Young master, you are awesome. Young master, you are invincible. Young master, you must be ranked first on the god roll. I haven't seen anyone more talented than young master in all these years. That stupid expert on that damn god roll really thinks he's a piece of cake. In this world, only young master can kill so many people of his realm in one go with the perfected star transformation realm strength, right?" The 3 people who were surrounding the hot pot all looked at the big calabash flying over from a distance. The tomboy asked, "A 9-foot-long ring broadsword? Are they from the west wilderness?" The elegant man asked, "Feng Yu of the Phoenix divine race?" The one holding the 9-foot-long ring broadsword should be the leader of the so-called Wildfire Mad Blade Gang. This guy has been obscure in the West Wilderness, but in the blink of an eye, he became the son-in-law of the Phoenix divine race. That's really legendary. But when did he and young master know each other? The tomboy said, it's him. Young master must have known him before he came to the West Wilderness. At this moment, many people of the ancient demon race had been killed. Han Fei knew that Lu Renkuang was deliberately taking revenge. Although the death of these people killed by Lu Renkuang couldn't hurt the ancient demon race, these more than 300 strong masters were all potential monarchs. If this group of people died, even if the ancient demon race was strong, it would still hurt. On this side, Lu Renkuang had killed nearly 300 people in one go, which really shocked many people. The people who had been planning to attack him together were all silent at this moment. However, at this moment, something unexpected happened. Yang Zhan, who had almost been killed, let out a low roar. Go to hell. As a heavenly talent of the ancient demon race, he still had trump cards. The phantom of a strong master appeared and shattered the black hole with a backhand strike. Humph. A ripple spread out, distorting all the black holes. Lu Renkuang couldn't help but spit out a mouthful of essence blood. He slashed at the phantom with his long broadsword, and a sea of fire instantly appeared behind him. The fourth slash, wild broadsword. Lu Renkuang wasn't afraid of this power that was obviously above the sky. Opening realm. The sea of fire behind him surged into the black long knife, shattering dozens of ripples in a row. Unfortunately, the strength of the phantom clearly exceeded the restrictions of the God-fearing ancient land. He violated the rules of this place. Lu Renkuang frowned. This was no longer Yang Zhan. His strength had exceeded the limits of his combat power. Countless chains of rules surged out of the void and grabbed the phantom. However, the phantom wasn't stupid. It immediately removed all its power, causing the law chains to only float in the air without attacking again. Instantly, the god-slaying bandits all stood up, and the tomboy drew her long broadsword and was about to attack. Someone cursed, "This guy cheated. Kill him." However, someone was faster than them. A spear shadow broke through the void and stabbed at the phantom behind Yang Zhan like a divine cone from the sky. Yang Zhan raised his hand to block the spear light. The spear was almost completely bent, and the tip of the spear almost overlapped with the end. Bang! When the power of the soul surged into the spear beam, half of the phantom's arm was blown up. As if it had anticipated that the newcomer and Lu Renkuang wouldn't be easy to deal with, the phantom took the initiative to fuse into Yang Zhan's body. Immediately, Yang Zhan's aura soared, and his strength seemed to have tripled or quadrupled. It wasn't that Yang Zhan couldn't become stronger, but that if he did, the rules here would directly determine that his absolute strength far exceeded that of a perfected star transformation realm cultivator, and they would directly take action against him. Seeing that the newcomer was using a spear, Lu Renkuang knew who it was. He shouted, You've become uglier. That's Bull's asterisk it. And you've become fatter. Lu Renkuang said, I was thin. Thank you, readers. Whoosh. At this moment, a dazzling and scorching broadsword beam cut down from the sky. The broadsword intent was awe-inspiring. Thinking of Zhang Xuanyu, Lu Renkuang knew that this guy was Han Fei. However, before Lu Renkuang said anything, Han Fei had shouted, sky-cleaving, star-cutting knife, the eighth move, blood knife sky-breaking. Many people's pupils were constricted. This slash was very powerful, especially the extreme yang fire essence. Ordinary people in the perfected star transformation realm couldn't have blocked such a slash. The elegant man slightly frowned. I've studied Wildfire Mad Blade Gang. When did their leader become so powerful? The tomboy said, however, this person is quite fierce. He's quite suitable to join us. The elegant man shook his head slightly. After all, he's the leader of a gang. How can he be a subordinate so easily? I just don't know when he knew. Young master. The stalwart man said, then who's using a spear? He looks quite strong too. I'm afraid he's also on the god roll of the sky-opening realm. The tomboy said, young master said that he has several brothers. I don't know if he was talking about these two. At this moment, even though Yang Zhan had been possessed and his strength had risen, Han Fei was still stronger than him as an extreme Dao cultivator. As long as the other party was still in the sky-opening realm, it was impossible for him to surpass him. Boom! Yang Zhan was smashed into the mountain. Zhang Xuanyu's spear light rained down, directly blasting out ripples one after another on the mountain, as if a boundless hand was repeatedly slapping the mountain. Lu Renquang also rushed forward, fused with deep blue roar, and slashed the mountain apart. Yang Zhan let out a low roar in his body. Everyone saw that he tried to break out of the encirclement 3 times, but was blasted back every time. The countless onlookers were dumbfounded. What was the difference between this and a gang fight? It was like a 4-person fight. One of them was accidentally beaten to the ground, and the other 3 still kept smashing him with steel rods and bricks. That was exactly what happened to Yang Zhan. Although he had borrowed a lot of power, he couldn't even get back to his feet. The scene seemed quite violent. The God-fearing ancient land was a savage land, so its ground surface was too thick to penetrate. However, under the continuous bombardment of the 3 of them, the mountain collapsed, and Yang Zhan, who was smashed into the mountain, collapsed. Feng Xingliu on the big calabash shouted, "Here I am." As soon as Feng Xingliu was sent flying, it was pulled back by Feng Yu. Feng Xing said anxiously, "Let go of me. I won't be able to join the beating if I'm late." At this moment, Yang Zhan suddenly jumped up, but Han Fei and the other 2 had already predicted it. As soon as Yang Zhan was about to jump up, Han Fei used the void-stealing technique to steal his power, and then the 3 of them launched another round of bombardment. Finally, Yang Zhan was crushed, and a huge irregular pit appeared on the mountain. Someone was lost for words. They're thugs from the West Wilderness. Needless to say, these 3 people must be the thugs of the West Wilderness. Someone exclaimed, "Are the people of the Western Wilderness crazy? They provoked and killed so many ancient demons. Aren't they afraid of retaliation?" Someone sneered. "What are you talking about? They are all famous bandits. I haven't heard of anyone who dares to go to the ferocious God Valley to take revenge on bandits." Someone said, 100,000 years ago, during the battle of the primordial divine race, the ferocious God Valley was attacked. Since then, there had been no bandit crisis in the West Wilderness for 30,000 years. Someone else said, that's because they hid and didn't participate in that matter. However, the bandits of the West Wilderness did go too far this time. I'm afraid they will be targeted. Only after Yang Zhan was beaten to death did the 3 of them stop. They looked at each other, put their arms around each other, and laughed out loud. Zhang Xuanyu said, "Fatty, well done. I've long hated these ancient demons." Han Fei asked, "Lu Renquang, has a spiritual treasure appeared here?" Lu Renquang waved his hand and a black broadsword appeared. "Here, this is it. It's a low-quality nature spiritual treasure. Han Fei snorted. Only one? Lu Renkuang said, only one. Why, do you feel anything? Han Fei shook his head. Not yet. Just as Han Fei said so, suddenly, a golden light rose to the sky next to the mountain that Han Fei had just blasted away. Not yet? Lu Renkuang and Zhang Xuanyu both looked at Han Fei speechlessly, but Han Fei was dumbfounded. I really didn't feel anything. Hiss. Another spiritual treasure has appeared. Countless people were excited and flew away. In the next moment, a bronze fragment spiraled into the air. Bronze fragment, the legendary bronze fragment. Come on, grab it. Han Fei and the others were still stunned. That thing was clearly not a spiritual treasure. Thank you, readers. However, Feng Yu said to Han Fei via voice transmission, Little Junior. Brother, grab it quickly. We must get this thing. Han Fei's face slightly changed. Although he didn't know what this bronze fragment was, it was obviously something extraordinary. Rob. Han Fei roared and soared to the sky. Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renkuang took action one after another. Lu Renkuang didn't forget to shout, God-slaying bandits, grab the bronze fragment. At the same time, Lu Renkuang roared, this treasure hammer mountain is occupied by the God-slaying bandits. Whoever dares to snatch the fragments will be my enemy. Lu Renkuang had thought that the horror of the God-slaying bandits had been deeply rooted in everyone's heart. He had even killed a group of heavenly talents of the ancient demon race, let alone them. However, after Lu Renkuang shouted, only a few people hesitated, but most people still soared into the sky. His threat didn't seem to have any effect. It seemed that the attraction of the bronze fragments exceeded their fear of the God-slaying bandits. Although the God-slaying bandits were strong, their number was limited. The God-slaying bandits, including the elegant man, all soared into the sky. The elegant man shouted in a low voice, Young master, you must get this thing. This thing may be related to the secrets of the God-ferrying ancient land. For a time, more than 2,000 strong masters chased the bronze fragment. They didn't fight each other, because fighting would only waste time. From the moment the bronze fragment appeared, it didn't drill into the hands of anyone present. Instead, it kept avoiding everyone and tried to fly deeper into the God-ferrying ancient land. The speed was so fast that it didn't seem to be something a person in the perfected star transformation realm could achieve. Han Fei shouted, Feng Yu, I'll block the enemy. You grab the fragment. As far as Han Fei knew, the speed of Feng Yu was the fastest. Even when he was at the peak of the sky-opening realm, his maximum speed was only 42 times the speed of light, which was still far from 50 times the speed of light. Okay. Chirp. The fire phoenix soared into the sky and chased after the bronze fragment. Sky-cleaving star-cutting knife, the sixth move, galaxy flowing. The starry river flowed around him and turned into a huge euro. Han Fei rushed all the way and stopped the crowd halfway. Swish. 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 Swish swish swish. The overwhelming techniques poured down like a tide. Although Han Fei was very strong, he was still in the perfected star transformation realm. Facing such overwhelming techniques or divine techniques, he only lasted for 3 seconds before the giant euro was shattered. Lu Renkuang naturally used his black hole again, but this time, the big hole was like a huge mouth opening in the sky, floating above everyone's head, trying to hold thousands of people at once. Sure enough, the speed of everyone here slowed down, but how could one person resist tens of thousands of people? After only 2 seconds, Lu Renkuang suffered a backlash and vomited blood. The speed of Zhang Xuanyu's spear was extremely fast, but it was impossible for every spear shadow to reach the level of a divine technique. Therefore, at the moment Lu Renkuang suffered a backlash, Zhang Xuanyu also suffered a spiritual backlash. The three of them held out for 5 seconds and stopped 80% of the experts. At this time, the 31 god-slaying bandits were like tigers entering a flock of sheep, their qi and blood soaring to the sky, and their killing intent pervading the air. How dare you hurt our young master? You're asking to be killed. Kill. The brawny man who was eating hot pot just now roared, "Star barbaric bull. Ultimate charge." Behind the muscular man, there seemed to be a boundless herd of bulls charging into the crowd. Law of words, flower and fire scattering. The elegant man extended his hand and formed seals. Suddenly, swaths of fiery flowers appeared in the void. Bang! 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 The continuous explosions greatly reduced the speed of the crowd's charge. As for the god-slaying bandit's only woman, her combat power was relatively weaker, but she slashed repeatedly with the same broadsword technique as Lu Renkuang. But even so, there were still some people who had special means to erupt with a terrifying speed that was almost 50 times the speed of light. This was not surprising to Han Fei. The one-time escape godly weapon he used in the past, the one-leaf boat, could temporarily allow him to reach nearly 100 times the speed of light. Of course, there was no realm restriction at that time. However, there were quite a number of such treasures. The difference was that these people had to use such a one-time use godly weapon to increase their speed to more than 50 times the speed of light, but Feng Yu had 50 times the speed of light herself. But the problem was that when everybody was faster than the bronze fragment, speed was meaningless. Woo-woo. On the back of the fire phoenix, the flute sounded melodiously. As the flute vibrated in the void, those who were about to bombard Feng Yu with great techniques were all inexplicably absent-minded and dropped their attacks. This was the mystic sound of the creation void divine flute. When this flute sounded, it could dispel fighting intent. Anyone below the level of a god who disobeyed this would be killed by the sound. Most of the people who chased over stopped attacking. They seemed to be touched as if they had heard the most beautiful sound in the world. However, someone with an unusually firm mind bit the tip of his tongue, trying to resist the flute sound. But then, the mystic sound that surrounded him suddenly became manic. The person felt that his soul was swelling, and his ears were filled with strange mystic sounds. Ah! Bang! Someone tried to resist the mystic sound, only to be crushed by it. Except for those who were chasing Feng Yu, those who were attacking Han Fei. And the others, including the god-slaying bandits, also stopped attacking. Thank you, readers. Han Fei roared, "God-slaying bandits, don't resist the mystic sound." Bang! 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 After nearly 40 or 50 people self-destructed in a row, no one took action anymore. They seemed to have realized the horror of the music. As long as they had the will to resist the music, they would be killed by it. Swish. At this moment, Feng Yu picked up the bronze fragment. Han Fei pulled Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renkuang and retreated towards the fire phoenix. Among the god-slaying bandits, the tomboy shouted, "Young master." Lu Renkuang responded, "Find your own opportunities. I'll walk the rest of the way." Swish. Swish. When no one could muster any fighting intent, the speed of Feng Yu immediately became the fastest. When they returned to the Fire Phoenix, they immediately fled in a direction. Huff! Zhang Xuanyu and Lu Renkuang breathed heavily. Zhang Xuanyu exclaimed, as expected of a high-quality nature spiritual treasure. This flute is simply invincible. Lu Renkuang asked, a high-quality nature spiritual treasure? No wonder my fighting spirit was instantly soothed. Han Fei said with a smile, you should thank God that your fighting spirit was instantly soothed. If you had resisted the flute sound, I'm afraid you would have exploded. Feng Xingliu and Feng Qingqing were both dumbfounded. Neither of them had any chance to fight in a battle of this level. Feng Xingliu's eyes widened even more. For some reason, there was another person in their team, and it was the young master of the god-slaying bandits. One of the three major bandit powers of the West Wilderness. Lu Renkuang couldn't help but look back at Jiao Yinling in confusion. Jiao Yinling put down the flute and bowed slightly to Lu Renkuang. Senior Brother Renkuang. Speaking of which, Jiao Yinling had been in the Thug Academy before, so it wasn't a big deal for her to call Lu Renkuang senior brother. You are? Zhang Xuanyu laid his hand on Lu Renkuang's shoulder. Xiao Jiao. Lu Renkuang looked at Han Fei with a strange expression. Han Fei said, why? Are you surprised? Didn't you come from the West Wilderness yourself? After that, Han Fei introduced, this is Feng Yu of the Phoenix Divine Race. As well as Feng Xingliu, Feng Qingqing. This is Lu Renkuang, my brother. He is now the young master of the god-slaying bandits. With that said, Han Fei looked at Lu Renkuang weirdly, wondering how this guy became a young master. Feng Xingliu seemed to be very curious about Lu Renkuang and couldn't help but ask, well, do you god-slaying bandits still recruit people? Lu Renkuang was taken aback for a moment before he realized what was going on. Yes. Of course. We three bandit powers are simply unstoppable in the West Wilderness. Smack. Feng Yu slapped Feng Xingliu's head. What conditions do you have? Join the god-slaying bandits? You'll have all your feathers plucked and skewered on the barbecue grill in 3 days. With that, she took out the bronze fragment and said, this is the 8th piece. Everyone was dumbfounded, and Han Fei said, the 8th? What's the use of this thing? No information appeared in Han Fei's eyes, which meant that this thing was not a spiritual treasure at all. Even the demon purification pot couldn't tell its origin. Feng Qingqing said, this thing can be used as a key, but there are a total of 9 fragments. In the Age of the Gods, the 9 fragments gathered once. Maybe even earlier, but there are no historical records. The 9 bronze fragments will resonate with each other and try to fuse into one. Then something incredible will happen. What incredible thing? Han Fei and the others asked in unison. However, Feng Qingqing shook her head. I don't know about that. It's not recorded in the ancient books. However, including this one, a total of 8 bronze fragments have appeared in the god-ferrying ancient land. As for the other 7, our Phoenix god race happens to have one. The other few are respectively in the Miracle Forest, the Primordial Divine Academy, the Ancient Demon Race, the Flying Immortal Tower, the Divine Demon Forest, and the Royal Family of the Divine Capital. Han Fei asked, does this mean that something big is going to happen in the god-ferrying ancient land? Then why did this thing come to the Treasure Hammer Mountain? Isn't it said that it's the place where the gods transcended tribulations and left behind treasures? Feng Qingqing said, I don't know about that, but the appearance of the bronze fragment can't be a coincidence. Han Fei asked, what if the 9th fragment doesn't appear this time? Will this thing be useless? Feng Qingqing nodded slightly. If only this piece appears in the god ferrying ancient land this time, it's indeed useless. Feng Xingliu couldn't help but click his tongue. So, all we did was grab a piece of junk? Feng Yu, you can't say that. It depends on luck. Although there's no record of what happened behind the 9 bronze fragments, a supreme nature treasure appeared during that trip to the god ferrying ancient land. A supreme nature treasure? Han Fei and Lu Renquang couldn't help exclaiming. That was awesome. That was a treasure on the same level as the distanceless gate. Up to now, Han Fei had only seen 2 supreme nature treasures, the creation clock and the distanceless gate. Han Fei's eyes glittered. Good stuff. Feng Yu continued, apart from a supreme nature treasure, 10 gods appeared in a row in the following 1,000 years after that trip to the god ferrying ancient land. Pfft. What? 10 gods? For a moment, Han Fei, Zhang Xuanyu, and Lu Renquang looked at each other in bewilderment. Even Zhou Yinling's eyes lit up. Thank you, readers. Seeing their eyes flickering, Feng Yu couldn't help but say, of course, at that time, the upper limit of strength in the god ferrying ancient land wasn't the perfected star transformation realm, but the immortal level. Everyone. Han Fei rolled his eyes. Can't you just tell me everything in one go? The corners of Feng Yu's mouth curled up slightly. Even if the current god ferrying ancient land can no longer produce gods, it doesn't mean that it can't help us further improve our strength. Han Fei was already tempted. For others, the 9th bronze fragment might only be found by luck, but he had the vast ocean navigator. This meant that as long as he wanted, he could accurately find the location of the 9th bronze fragment. However, there were still many treasures in this place. If he could find them, why didn't he? The reason why Han Fei didn't use the vast ocean navigator when he was in the primordial water pool was that he was afraid of digging treasures too accurately. After all, many people were guarding there and they had seen a lot of things. The secret of the vast ocean navigator might be exposed. However, fortunately, their luck wasn't bad. Although they didn't obtain any spiritual treasures, Feng Xingliu, Zhou Yinling, and Lu Renquang did, so they had already profited greatly. After leaving the 9 treasure troves near the entrance, it was time to use the vast ocean navigator. Feng Yu said, there's no need to explore the 9 treasure troves in the periphery now. It's actually difficult for ordinary sky openers to cross the range of the 9 treasure troves in a short period of time. However, there are still as many as 100 treasure troves recorded on the map. It's still a question of where to go. While Feng Yu was thinking, she saw Han Fei take out the vast ocean navigator. Feng Yu? Zhang Xuanyu and the others were not surprised. They just watched. Feng Xingliu, on the other hand, exclaimed, Huh! Isn't this your navigator? Han Fei said, only you can know the secret of my navigator. Feng Xingliu, you have to keep your mouth shut. Feng Xingliu shrugged. It's just a nautical instrument. I don't have to tell others about it. However, Han Fei put on a smile, spread out the map, and said casually, Where can I find a supreme nature treasure? The vast ocean navigator did not move. Everyone was dumbfounded. Are you kidding me? Can this thing lock onto nature treasures? Han Fei frowned slightly. Were there no supreme nature treasures left in the God-fearing ancient land? Han Fei asked again, where is Feng Yu's chance? Buzz. Under Feng Yu's dumbfounded gaze, the vast ocean navigator began to spin. After only a few seconds, the needle landed on a place called the ancient Path of Lava. Feng Yu asked, this. Can your navigator predict opportunities? Han Fei, no, it can point to any place I want to go. Feng Yu was dumbfounded, and Feng Qingqing exclaimed, how can there be such a treasure? Then isn't the 9th bronze fragment? Han Fei said, that's right. I can easily find the 9th bronze fragment, but there's no need. The God-fearing ancient land has just opened. Feng Xingliu said in shock, are you kidding me? It's just a nautical instrument. Didn't you say it was just a godly weapon? Han Fei said, do you believe me? Feng Yu hurriedly looked at the location of the ancient path of lava, and said, this is the place where an expert failed to transcend the tribulation and died on the spot. 5 treasures were scattered there, but according to the records, 4 treasures were found. Are you sure my opportunity is here? Yeah. Zhang Xuanyu said, Fei Fei. Can you tell where I can get a high-quality nature spiritual treasure? The corners of Han Fei's mouth curled up slightly. I can give it a try, but the problem is that if a high-quality nature spiritual treasure appears, you really have to get it. Then, Han Fei asked, where can Zhang Xuanyu trigger a high-quality nature spiritual treasure? Buzz. Under everyone's shocked gaze, the vast ocean navigator spun again, and in the end, its name fell on the moon-reflecting divine pond. Hiss. Fei Fei. Are you kidding me? Han Fei asked, do I look like I'm kidding you? Feng Qingqing said in shock, the moon-reflecting divine pond is where the moon-reflecting monarch transcended her tribulation. After she became a god, the moon-reflecting monarch scattered 12 spiritual treasures there. So far, 8 of them have appeared, including a high-quality nature spiritual treasure. Zhang Xuanyu said, in other words, the moon-reflecting monarch left 2 high-quality nature spiritual treasures there. Han Fei said, that's the only possibility. Feng Xingliu quickly asked, what about me? Where can I get a high-quality nature spiritual treasure? You? Han Fei shook his head. Okay, I'll check it for you at last. Feng Xingliu. Then, Han Fei looked at Lu Renquang. Quang, what do you want to ask? Lu Renquang raised his eyebrows. May I ask where I can lose weight? Han Fei's face immediately darkened. This thing can only be used 3 times in a day. Isn't this question a waste of the times? Lu Renquang sighed slightly. Then I want to ask where I can find an opportunity suitable for my path of cultivation. Han Fei nodded and asked what Lu Renquang said. Sure enough, the vast ocean navigator pointed again and finally landed at a place called Eye of Black Sand. It was a place that had been completely explored. It could be said to be a place that no one cared about. Thank you, readers. Han Fei said, okay, I've used up the number of times today. I can only wait for tomorrow to ask it again. Feng Yu's eyelids twitched. Where did you get this navigator? If it has such a heaven-defying ability, wouldn't it be comparable to a supreme nature treasure? Han Fei said, in terms of function, yes. I don't know what will happen if the 9 bronze fragments are put together, but I think our strength can be improved by another level before they are put together. If each of us can get a high-quality nature spiritual treasure, Feng Xingliu said excitedly, then we'll be invincible. We'll be able to conquer the God-ferrying ancient land. However, Feng Qingqing said, we can't do that. If each of us can take out a high-quality nature spiritual treasure, we'll definitely be suspected of having some secret method to find spiritual treasures. Secondly, we'll be targeted. Even if we leave the God-ferrying ancient land, we'll definitely be targeted. A high-quality nature spiritual treasure can create a large force. If we have 3, we'll be considered a super force. If we have 7 in total, Feng Yu said, more than that. Little Qingqing, you're too naive. Would they tell you that they have a high-quality nature spiritual treasure? Every force has their trump cards. A high-quality nature spiritual treasure is indeed strong, but it doesn't mean that they don't have one. Just relying on a nature spiritual treasure alone is not enough to support a super force. However, if each of us has a high-quality nature spiritual treasure and shows it, we will indeed be in serious trouble. Han Fei also nodded and said, but we can't just leave the spiritual treasures alone. How about this? Each of us will get a high-quality nature spiritual treasure first. Then, we'll get 1 or 2 low-quality nature spiritual treasures as a cover. Unless we're in danger, we'd better not take out high-quality nature spiritual treasures. Feng Xingliu nodded quickly. I think it's a good idea. Zhang Xuanyu seemed to be a little excited and couldn't stop smiling. Fei. Not that I want to criticize you, but you have to keep a low profile. You make it sound like this God-ferrying ancient land is our backyard. Lu Renquang said, I don't want to keep a low profile. I want a high-quality nature spiritual treasure. Alas, it would be even better if you can find me a place to lose weight. Han Fei said, don't be happy too soon. There are many strong masters on this trip to the God-ferrying ancient land. It's fine in the early stages when most people have no time to explore so many treasure troves, but it's hard to say in the later stages. Besides, it's still a question whether we can get a high-quality nature spiritual treasure for each of us. Jiao Yinling said, you can do it first. I already have one. Han Fei shook his head. No, it's obvious that you have obtained the creation Void Divine Flute. You can take it out and use it. But if you also have a high-quality nature spiritual treasure as your trump card, you will really be safe. Even if you are ambushed in the future, you still have the means to deal with it. Zhang Xuanyu said, that's right. Xiaojiao, you're too conservative. It's not easy to enter such a treasure trove. How can you leave without making a fortune? Lu Renquang said, in that case, let's split up. Feng Yu nodded. That's right. It's too slow to act together. Since our directions have been clear, we can act alone. Zhang Xuanyu said, Quang and I can set off first. We just need to agree where to meet again. Han Fei said, there's no hurry. Those people aren't that fast. You can set off tomorrow. At that time, we'll confirm the rendezvous point. The God-ferrying ancient land was full of treasures. Although he could get a few more, it was meaningless. It was not that the more treasures, the better. However, if Zhang Xuanyu and the others could all have high-quality nature spiritual treasures, their strength would soar. Not only would they have life saving means, but they would also advance quickly. In the future, not only would they have to protect the human race, but they would also have to walk into the sea of stars and even face the ominous. Unfortunately, Luo Xiaobai had gone to the Central Sea Divine Realm. He didn't know if she had obtained the news of the opening of the God-ferrying ancient land. He would have to look for her later. The next day, Han Fei used the vast ocean navigator 3 more times and pointed out the direction for Jiuyin Ling, Feng Xingliu, and Feng Qingqing. Feng Xingliu and Feng Qingqing were naturally led by Feng Yu, or they wouldn't have been able to handle it if they were in big trouble. On the 3rd day, the first thing Han Fei did was to find Luo Xiaobai with the vast ocean navigator, but it didn't turn. Han Fei could only sigh. It seemed that among the few of them, Luo Xiaobai was the only one who was unlucky and often missed some opportunities. Then, Han Fei identified another place where he could get a high-quality nature spiritual treasure, which was called the Blade River Valley. Blade River Valley. Thank you, readers. When Han Fei arrived, there were less than 10 people here. After all, it was only the 8th day since the ancient place was opened. Those who could cross the obstacles and come to the depths of the God-ferrying ancient land in such a short period of time were all extraordinary people. Furthermore, they all had come with a clear purpose. Therefore, there were pitifully few people in the Blade River Valley at this moment. According to the map, after the great monarch who transcended the tribulation in the Sword River Valley became a god, he left 16 spiritual treasures. Because there were many knife cultivators in history, this place used to be a popular place for exploration. For this reason, only 2 of the 16 spiritual treasures remained here. Among these 10 people, Han Fei couldn't tell which force they belonged to. But it didn't matter. Han Fei appeared openly, and the 9-foot-long ring broadswords clanked. The dozens of people all looked at Han Fei with slight displeasure. After all, flamboyant people were never likable. Han Fei roared, "The 10 of you, if you don't want to die, leave. I've taken the Blade River Valley." Everyone's expression changed. Someone frowned and said, "Aren't you too domineering? Why are you competing for a treasure trove when the treasure hasn't appeared?" Han Fei laughed. "I'm going to search for treasures, so I have to use a great technique. What if you see it? Leave now. Come back when I'm no longer interested in the Blade River Valley." Humph. Arrogant. Wang Han, right? I heard that you have never been defeated in the Phoenix Divine Race for 3 years. Today, I'll see if you are as strong as the rumors say. The man stood with a broadsword in his hand. There was no second kind of person here except for knife cultivators. Knife cultivators had always been bad-tempered, so even though Han Fei was famous, this person still challenged him. Han Fei grinned and said, "Okay, then take my attack." Han Fei certainly didn't hold back. He could only stay in the Blade River Valley for a day. In addition to this place, he had many other places to hunt treasure. The 8th move of the sky-cleaving star-cutting knife, the blood knife sky breaking, was launched. Between the heavens and earth, there was a sea of blood, as if the heavens were pressing down. The person fused with a single horned whale and charged into the sky against the blood. However, he only managed to hold on for 3 seconds, and hundreds of joints in his body were creaking. Although his body could withstand it, it didn't collapse because he was a monarch and the extreme power of the sky opening realm wasn't enough to cut his heavenly Dao jade marrow bone. However, in terms of combat power, this person was no match for Han Fei at all. With a single slash, blood gushed out. If it weren't for the protection of the soul-suppressing spiritual treasure, his soul might have been crushed. The other knife cultivators all changed their expressions. This guy was indeed strong. If his strength hadn't been suppressed, the man who challenged him might have been killed in one strike. Han Fei said contemptuously, "Oh. A carefree level expert, no wonder you dare to take my attack. However, if you stay any longer, I might not be able to cut your body, but I can shatter your spiritual treasure and cut your soul. So, I'll give you another chance. Get lost." His voice rumbled like thunder. The man's face was all dark. He gritted his teeth and said, "Wang Han, I'll remember you." Han Fei sneered. "There are many people who remember me. Who do you think you are?" Then, Han Fei looked around. "In 3 days, whoever dares to peep at me will be executed." Humph. Although they sounded tough, the knife cultivators retreated first. Whoever had the largest fist was the boss. They were here to hunt for treasures, not to get themselves killed. This person could kill a monarch with a single slash. If he had the enhancement of a spiritual treasure, he could indeed break a spiritual treasure and kill the soul. They wouldn't take this risk. Besides, since this person said that it would take him 3 days to dig up treasures, so be it. He made it sound as if creation's spiritual treasures could be dug out by force. After these people left for the time being, Han Fei immediately took out the vast ocean navigator. It pointed at an ordinary primeval land more than 800,000 kilometers away. Han Fei immediately activated the turtle shell sky sealing array. The infinity water turned into a drill and began to drill frantically. A moment later, a knife broke out of the soil from another place, trying to escape. Han Fei shouted in a low voice, "Be my knife. You won't regret it." A terrifying knife intent burst out of Han Fei's body, and a short knife appeared in his hand. He suddenly pulled it out, and the knife light bloomed with wild killing intent. The fleeing spiritual treasure couldn't help but stop. As a high-quality spiritual treasure, it had the ability to choose its master. It didn't like this person forcibly digging it out. However, the knife intent released by this person was too powerful. It wasn't like the knife intent that could erupt in the sky-opening realm. If he slashed down, even a Tao prover would probably die. This was the reason why it stayed. Han Fei didn't chase it, but said proudly, "Follow me, kill all enemies, and bloom with your brilliance. Or, run away now, and find a knife cultivator who is not very strong, hoping he can become stronger bit by bit." The blood-colored saber began to tremble, and the world almost turned into a sea of sabers. Terrifying killing intent penetrated the world as the blood-colored saber charged at Han Fei with all its might. After all, it was a high-quality nature spiritual treasure. Although Han Fei's words tempted it, if it didn't give it a try, how would it know if Han Fei was someone it could follow? The boundless knife intent had far exceeded the range of the sky-opening realm. Even cultivators at the Tao proving level and the carefree level would be doomed under this attack. However, Han Fei grinned and was not afraid at all. Even though this saber carried unparalleled power and slashed at Han Fei's forehead, Han Fei didn't even blink. Han Fei smiled and said, "Do you think I'm afraid of you? You spiritual treasures need to choose your master. And I am also choosing treasures. This is a mutual matter. As my weapon, you must be fearless. I dare to kill a god. Alone. Do you dare? Thank you, readers. Han Fei's domineering voice echoed in the air. The blood-red long saber hummed, and the edge of the saber passed Han Fei's ear. In the next moment, the vast land behind Han Fei was cut apart by the saber. Han Fei raised his hand and took the blood-red long saber. Blood and chi surged from Han Fei's body, and the blood-red saber swallowed the blood and chi. The two complemented each other. Obviously, Han Fei had moved it. Only then did Han Fei look at the information of the blood-colored saber. Name, Creation Blood Sky Blade. Introduction. This is a high-quality nature spiritual treasure from the primordial era, created by absorbing the chi and blood of the heavens from the battlefield of the gods. Creation Blood Sky Blade is full of killing intent and is fearless. When the blade is unsheathed, blood must be spilled, and when the blade is unsheathed, fear will be absent. If the hosts will can't suppress the blood, Sky Blade's will, he'll be swallowed by it in the end. This blade can cut through all things and all laws. Even if it's defeated and the blade shattered, this knife will also give it its all. Quality, high-quality nature spiritual treasure, upgradable. Effect 1, Blood Fighting Intent. The wielder of the saber must kill the enemy in every battle. Double killing intent can be unleashed. Effect 2, Blood Drinking. This knife can drink the enemy's blood to strengthen itself. The more enemies it kills, the stronger the knife will be. Under the blood drinking state, the knife intent will be even stronger. Effect 3, Fight a bloody battle to the end. Born under the blade, die under the blade. This blade, in its extreme state, becomes more powerful as the fight goes on. When surrounded by enemies, it can unleash triple the strength, until all the enemies fall. Effect 4, Blade Meteorite. The ultimate slash can unleash 10 times the combat power. After this slash, the body of the broadsword is shattered, and one has to eat a spiritual treasure of the same level to revive. Can't be reforged. Refined. Note: born for slaughter, die for slaughter. When Han Fei saw the information of this saber, he knew that a spiritual treasure of this level must be very powerful, but this blood sky blade was too powerful. Especially the blade meteorite, it can increase the combat power by 10 times. He didn't know if it was possible for a great monarch to kill a god with 10 times his combat power. Of course, the price was also huge. After using the blade meteorite, one had to be fed a high-quality nature spiritual treasure to it to revive it. It was hard to say if its quality would still be so strong after revival. However, Han Fei was already very satisfied. He needed a knife that could accompany him to become a god. The moment Han Fei obtained the blood sky blade, he knew that his trip to the god-ferrying ancient land was already worth it. Of course, since he rarely came to such a place, he certainly wouldn't just take the blood sky blade. No matter how many spiritual treasures he had, the human race had such a large population. Furthermore, he had Neza, Zhang Daqian, and Han Song avatars. He should obtain at least 3 high-quality nature spiritual treasures. As for the other spiritual treasures, it was still the more, the better. Half a month later, Han Fei reunited with Zhang Xuanyu and the others. Zhang Xuanyu said, "Fei Fei, your vast ocean navigator is amazing. When I went there, only 2 people arrived at the moon-reflecting divine pond. In just 6 hours, I triggered the moon-reflecting mystic spear, blah, blah." Lu Renquang said, "Me too. I got a treasure on the first day, and I had nothing to do for the next half-month. Han Fei looked at Jiuyin Ling. How is it? Jiuyin Ling said, I obtained an ancient zither, but unlike the creation void divine flute, the zither specialized in killing. Feng Yu said, great. When the ominous descends, the ability to fight is the only criterion. Feng Xingliu continued, I got the chaotic creation fire, which is a perfect match for me. I bet that I can easily pass the divine tribulation now. It's only a matter of time before I become a great monarch. Han Fei looked at Feng Yu and Feng Qingqing and asked, have you obtained high-quality nature spiritual treasures? Feng Qingqing explained, my sister snatched the high-quality nature spiritual treasures for Feng Xingliu and me. Han Fei said, as long as you have it. Next, we'll still meet once every half-month. If you get a nature spiritual treasure in advance, you can move freely. Feng Yu asked, are you going to harvest all the spiritual treasures in the God-fearing ancient land? Han Fei shook his head. I found that there are more spiritual treasures here than I thought. Maybe the number of treasures left behind by the gods is not accurate. I've found spiritual treasures in many places that were said to have been emptied. Oh? This is very important. Jiuyin Ling said, shouldn't we leave some for future generations? Han Fei said, it's hard to say if we can have future generations. In fact, these spiritual treasures just changed places and haven't disappeared. If we really become gods in the future, these spiritual treasures can be scattered everywhere as trials for others. Feng Yu nodded. That's right. It may be hundreds of thousands of years before the God-fearing ancient land opens again. It's hard to say if the sea realm will still exist then. Feng Xingliu said, isn't that an exaggeration? Just a few 100,000 years and the sea realm will disappear? Han Fei couldn't help but think of the hidden monarch city and said solemnly, it's completely possible. In the sea of stars, the ominous is already stirring. Not to mention hundreds of thousands of years, even 100,000 years is a huge threshold. Therefore, let's not talk about the future generations for now. 3 days later, everybody dispersed again, and Han Fei continued his treasure hunt. It had been more than 20 days since the God-fearing ancient land opened, and it wouldn't be so easy to get a spiritual treasure as easily as last time. On this day, Han Fei came to a place that a god called the Goddess of Night transcended the divine tribulation. Thank you, readers. He didn't come here, according to the vast ocean navigator. He didn't need to find a treasure trove suitable for him anymore, because there was no such treasure trove left. The Goddess of Night was one of the few gods who left special inheritances in the God-fearing ancient land. She had engraved her thoughts on the path of divinity and her techniques. However, this kind of technique was too obscure and required extremely high comprehension. It was also because of this that some talented people liked to waste time here. Among them were people like Yi Qingchan, Zhao Longma, and Chen Fangchao. They stayed here because they wanted to peep on the path of divinity. Han Fei's arrival immediately attracted attention. The first person she sensed was Yi Qingchan. With the yin-yang dual pendant, she could sense Han Fei even before he approached this place, not to mention that Han Fei had come here in person. Han Fei was wondering if he should find a place to talk to Yi Qingchan alone. When Yi Qingchan invited him, would you like to have a talk with me? Behind Yi Qingchan, the two guardians all changed their expression. This was Because in their opinion, Yi Qingchan was going to find a spouse through a joust, so it was not good for her to be close to any man now. Especially since Han Fei was now Feng Yu's fiancé in name. However, Han Fei had no such scruples. He immediately responded with a smile and went to the peak where Yi Qingchan was. Little did he know that many strong masters here had turned their eyes to them. Many people looked unhappy and even snorted. Those who were willing to waste time here and peep on the divine path were all heavenly talents among heavenly talents. 90% of the top heavenly talents had come to the god-ferrying ancient land. Many of these people had come for the joust. Now, someone had approached Yi Qingchan first, so these people naturally didn't like him. They were all top heavenly talents who were proud of their talents. Who was willing to submit to whom? Of course, Han Fei didn't care what these people thought, nor did he care about their anger. If Yi Qingchan was Xia Xiachan's reincarnation body, no matter how angry these people were, it was useless, because Xia Xiachan was not someone they could touch. On the top of the mountain, the two guardians looked at Han Fei angrily, but Han Fei sneered. I advise you to shut up, or I don't mind killing you right now. What a braggart. Swish. One slash, the ultimate slash of the 9-foot-long ring broadsword. At close range, the rings of the broadsword vibrated, and the sky-cleaving star-cutting knife technique, containing the draw technique, unleashed its ultimate combat power and slashed at the person who spoke. The other guardian was about to attack, but Han Fei casually clenched his fist and punched her back. Yi Qingchan's face changed slightly. Wait a moment. Yi Qingchan pointed her finger, and sword chi poured out. This sword was comparable to all great Daos in one sword. But Han Fei was too strong. Just because he didn't attack didn't mean that he couldn't take it. Han Fei turned his fist into a palm and held the terrifying sword intent with one hand. He closed his palm and instantly crushed it. Yi Qingchan's pupils were constricted. Other people might not be able to tell, but the attack he launched just now was definitely not weak. Wang Han defeated her guardian with one hand and then took her attack without any effort. This strength far exceeded her evaluation of him. Bang! The guardian who scolded Han Fei was shattered, but Han Fei didn't crush her soul, but simply shattered her body. At that moment, countless people looked over. Wasn't Yi Qingchan inviting him over for a chat? Why were they fighting now? However, most people couldn't help but smile in satisfaction when they saw them take action. It would be best if they fought. In this case, would Yi Qingchan still be interested in him? Han Fei said indifferently, if you two dare to say anything else, it won't be as simple as destroying your physical bodies. Han Fei glanced at the two of them. The woman whose body had just been shattered looked awful, but she didn't dare to say anything else. She had sensed the danger of death from the slash just now. In fact, if this person hadn't held back just now, she would have been dead. Yi Qingchan narrowed her eyes and waved her hand. You can go now. I'll talk to him on the top of the mountain. On the top of the mountain, large arrays were interconnected and quickly blocked this place. Everyone here only had the strength of the perfected star transformation realm. Some arrays were impossible for sky openers to pry into. Han Fei stood on the top of the mountain and looked down. I have a few questions. Yi Qingchan's voice was slightly cold. Aren't you going to explain yourself? Why did you ask me questions the moment you came up? Han Fei turned to look at Yi Qingchan. Some things have to be clarified before they have the value of explanation. Yi Qing-chan was also extraordinary. As the Holy Lady of the Miracle Forest and a strong master who claimed to be on par with Feng Yu, she naturally wouldn't be overwhelmed by Han Fei. She said, "Your strength is definitely not as simple as it looks. You can be ranked in the top 3 of the God roll of the Sky Opening Realm, the same for the God roll of the Tao Proving level or the Carefree level." Han Fei asked, "Is the God roll meaningful?" Yi Qing-chan took out the yin-yang dual pendant. "Do you know the significance of this jade pendant?" Han Fei said, "Before explaining this problem, I need to know a few things. Firstly, is your soul missing?" Yi Qing-chan looked at Han Fei quietly for a while without any expression, and then said casually, "Yes." Han Fei asked, "Since you have such a soul defect, why would you want to find a husband through a joust?" Yi Qing-chan said frankly, "Sometimes, being born in a big force, I have no choice. Joust for a spouse is my only choice. Feng Yu has you in front of her. But I don't." Thinking of the grand marriage proposing scene in Feng Yu's family, Han Fei nodded. "Thank you, readers." Han Fei asked again, "Do you have a birthmark?" Yi Qing-chan's pupils were constricted, and her momentum slightly changed, revealing a trace of killing intent. But this killing intent quickly disappeared. Then Yi Qing-chan stared into Han Fei's eyes and said, "Did you peep at me?" Han Fei smiled casually. "We've never met before. How can I peep at you? But if you don't mind, can I take a look?" Yi Qing-chan refused indifferently, "No." Han Fei realized that it made sense. If the birthmark grew in a place that was not convenient to show, he couldn't just look at it by force. Han Fei asked, "Then can you tell me what the birthmark looks like?" This time, Yi Qing-chan didn't refuse, but said, "Teardrop-shaped, the color of glazed glass." "Mermaid's tear?" Han Fei murmured, and Yi Qing-chan asked, "What mermaid's tear?" Han Fei said casually, "You've had this jade pendant since you were born, right?" Yi Qing-chan nodded. "Yes, it was born with me. I was born holding this jade pendant. Although it's only a mid-quality godly weapon, it should have extraordinary significance. So, who are you? Why was this jade pendant born with me?" Han Fei said leisurely, "Alas, it's a long story. I hope you won't be excited." At this moment, Han Fei no longer doubted Yi Qing-chan's identity. He felt that this might be the time when his fate with Xia Xiaochan came again. Yi Qing-chan said indifferently, "I won't be excited." Han Fei said, "First of all, I refined the yin-yang dual pendant. The purpose of refining it is to find you." "Find me?" Han Fei asked, "Would you believe me if I told you that you are my wife?" "Heh." Yi Qing-chan sneered strangely and stopped talking. Han Fei said, "This has something to do with the missing part of your soul. Before you reincarnated, your name was Xia Xiaochan. We first met in a place called the Thug Academy." Just as Han Fei was preparing to tell their story, suddenly, the stone monument that recorded the goddess of night's divine path suddenly shone, and golden inscriptions were projected from the stone monument. Even Han Fei was attracted by this sudden change, but he quickly discovered that the so-called golden inscription was a kind of divinity overflowing. In layman's terms, it was the runes produced by gods. Who triggered the divinity of the goddess of night? Divinity has manifested. Has anyone understood the divine path of the goddess of night? No, it's not the divine path. It's impossible for everyone to see the divine path, but this is definitely the inheritance of the goddess of night. The divine runes all rushed towards the peak where Han Fei and Yi Qingchuan were. Han Fei couldn't help but look at Yi Qingchuan, thinking to himself, that's impossible. I was chatting with Yi Qingchuan here, but I didn't see anything. He didn't even look at the steel of the goddess of night. This divine substance is obviously not coming for me. But since it wasn't him, it must be Yi Qingchuan. But wasn't Yi Qingchuan chatting with him just now? Could it trigger an opportunity? Yi Qingchuan did feel something at this moment. A sense of affinity overwhelmed her. She couldn't help but glance at Han Fei, wondering if it was because he was with her that the divinity was triggered. This was the divinity of the goddess of night, the inheritance of the gods. Yi Qingchuan immediately broke through the barrier here and stepped out, trying to take this divinity. However, just as Yi Qingchuan descended from the peak and was about to receive the divinity, a strange stone on the mountain suddenly moved. In that instant, even Han Fei didn't expect such a thing to happen. The strange stone instantly turned into a figure. It seemed to have used some special power, and its speed could reach nearly 100 times the speed of light in an instant. A cold light suddenly stabbed out. It was a simple slash, but it contained the power of laws. Even the heavenly Tao chains were suddenly extended at this moment. Yi Qingchuan didn't have time to react, but a bronze bell suddenly appeared. At this moment, the streaks of divinity swept past Yi Qingchuan and poured into the assassin's body. Clang! The attacker's knife was clearly not ordinary either. It actually pierced through the copper bell. Holy Lady, be careful. Not good. How dare you? Han Fei shot out immediately, and the heavenly Tao chains arrived in the blink of an eye. However, the black shadow was about to release the knife that stabbed into the bronze bell. Steel. Of course, Han Fei couldn't just watch Yi Qingchuan be assassinated. This assassin had appeared once before and was very powerful, especially his stealth technique. At this moment, Yi Qingchuan knew that the heavenly Tao chains were coming at her, so she immediately dispersed her power after the attack, causing the heavenly chains to pause for a moment. If she hit Yi Qingchuan with this blow, even if the latter didn't die, half of her soul would be instantly annihilated. Therefore, at this moment, Han Fei couldn't care less. He immediately used the void stealing technique to steal the stabbing. At the same time, in order to cover up the void stealing technique, Han Fei attacked. In fact, there was no difference between 100 times the speed of light and 40 to 50 times the speed of light in such a short distance. Therefore, in the eyes of others, it was that Han Fei attacked, and the assassin seemed to have given up attacking in order to protect herself. They didn't think it was a big deal, because this was how assassins attacked. They were very cautious. It wasn't worth it to sacrifice themselves to kill the enemy. Therefore, even if the assassination was successful immediately, they would stop. But the assassin was crazier than Han Fei had imagined. She did something that Han Fei didn't expect. Under such circumstances, she chose to blow up the nature spiritual treasure in her hand. Rumble. At this moment, there were 5 people at the center of the explosion: Yi Qingchuan, the assassin, Han Fei, and Yi Qingchuan's 2 guardians. Han Fei had no time to save the guardians. At that moment, he summoned the Blade of Hope, grabbed Yi Qingchuan with one hand, and tore open the timeline. The 2 of them instantly disappeared. In another timeline, Yi Qingchuan's hair was messy, her clothes were torn, and She vomited several mouthfuls of essence blood in a row. Her soul was trembling, and she looked like she had been badly blown up. Thank you, readers. However, this was already a very good result, because Yi Qingchuan was not seriously injured. Such injuries could be healed in a year or two. On the other hand, although Han Fei's battle suit was also broken, he was not injured. This was because in terms of physique, Han Fei was much stronger than her. At this moment, Han Fei looked at Yi Qingchuan's body. Well, or to be exact, most of her body. He subconsciously glanced at her. However, Han Fei didn't see any birthmarks where the battle suit was broken. Yi Qingchuan realized what was going on too. Seeing that Han Fei was staring at her, she blushed and changed into a battle suit. What are you looking at? Han Fei stroked his chin and said, It's not like I haven't seen you before. Of course, strictly speaking, I haven't seen the current you. Yi Qingchuan looked at Han Fei angrily, but since Han Fei had saved her, she couldn't say anything. Yi Qingchuan looked around. Where are they? Why are we alone here? Han Fei said leisurely, This is another timeline. Why don't we ignore the assassin first? Let's finish talking here. Yi Qingchuan's face changed slightly. Other times? Are you from the time temple? Han Fei smiled. Have you ever seen anyone from the time temple as powerful as me? A strange look flashed in Yi Qingchuan's eyes. Go back and kill that assassin. However long you want to chat, I will accompany you. Han Fei said, Actually, as long as I want to find her, the assassin can't escape. Why are you in such a hurry? Yi Qingchuan said, That's my condition. Kill her, and I can agree to a requirement of you unconditionally, including marrying you. Huh? Han Fei was surprised. It seemed that Yi Qingchuan wasn't assassinated unilaterally. She also wanted to kill the assassin. Obviously, there was some unknown story between her and the assassin. However, this was not important. If Xia Xiaochuan married him again, things would be much easier. Without the joust for a spouse, Xia Xiaochuan's previous body would fuse with her current reincarnation body, and the child in her stomach could be born naturally. Okay. But you should recover first. After a while, Yi Qingchuan's injuries were completely recovered. Han Fei slashed back and tore the timeline apart, returning to the previous timeline. After returning to the normal timeline, it was still at the moment of detonation of the nature spiritual treasure. In the face of the detonation of a nature spiritual treasure that was probably not a low-quality one, even Han Fei couldn't withstand such a powerful self-detonation with his full strength. But the moment he and Yi Qingchuan appeared, they had already made full protection. The two of them each covered themselves with dozens of layers of godly weapons, divine shields, and other protective magic weapons. Even so, both of them were blown 1,000,000 kilometers away at the first moment. Cough, cough. Han Fei coughed a few times, and golden blood oozed from the corner of his mouth. Yi Qingchuan certainly wasn't any better than Han Fei. She spewed out another mouthful of essence blood, but these were just minor injuries. As for Yi Qingchuan's two guardians, they were not so lucky. Their bodies and souls were crushed, and their souls were blown up. As for the culprit of this matter, the Southern Dip assassin, she seemed to be fine in this terrifying explosion. No, this is not the explosion of a nature spiritual treasure, but the exclusive skill of a nature spiritual treasure. Just like the Blood Sky Blade, this Southern Dip killer's knife also had a similar skill, which was to sacrifice a nature spiritual treasure to kill the enemy. Seeing that the assassination failed again, the Southern Dip assassin took a deep look at Han Fei, who was next to Yi Qingchuan, and then immediately escaped with the terrifying power of this self-detonation. Many people had no time to react, including the heavenly talents on the god roll. They couldn't resist this assassin with their limited strength. But just when everyone felt that this assassin might really be able to escape, the void suddenly cracked, and the sound of broadsword rings kept ringing. Han Fei, who was sent flying with Yi Qingchuan, suddenly appeared in the distant void and slashed out a vast river of stars, cutting off the Southern Dip assassin's escape route. Just now, Han Fei entered the void world the moment he appeared with the twin divine technique. Therefore, he could completely keep up with the assassin's escape speed and successfully intercept her. It was impossible for anyone to recognize him through the twin divine technique. He could just say that the one next to Yi Qingchuan was fake. There were many clone techniques like this. The Southern Dip assassin was shaken back by the broadsword and immediately retreated into the void world. Han Fei followed closely behind. It was not convenient for him to display many great techniques outside, but in the void world, this assassin was no match for him. However, the moment Han Fei entered the void world, he saw the assassin run out again. Han Fei. This was a small trick to make use of the time difference between entering and leaving the void world. The time difference was very short, but for top experts, it was enough to widen the distance. Han Fei didn't know what to say. Assassins were cunning and versatile after all. They seemed to have mastered a lot of tricks that others wouldn't take advantage of. Thank you, readers. This time, Han Fei didn't appear directly in the void world but stayed in it. As long as the assassin dared to enter the void world again, she wouldn't be able to escape. When the Southern Dip assassin saw that Han Fei didn't leave the void world at all, her heart skipped a beat. It was easy to deal with visible enemies. But invisible enemies were the most terrifying. This was their creed as killers. In the void world, Han Fei was a fatal threat. This meant that if she entered the void world, she might be ambushed. If she didn't enter the void world, the other party might suddenly attack her. At the same time, because this place was already very far from the center of the explosion, Zhao Longma from the Primordial Divine Academy thrust his spear. Chen Fengchao from the Divine Demon Forest cut through the void. At the same time, within 1,000,000 kilometers, clouds gathered and it began to rain. In addition, there were sword cultivators from the Flying Immortal Tower patrolling with a sword sea. The strong masters of the City of Light cast light. It was also because of the light cast by the City of Light that the Southern Dip assassin finally had nowhere to hide. Han Fei was not in a hurry to take action. He planned to wait for the killer to use all her trump cards before attacking her. Sure enough, Zhao Longma, who attacked first, pierced through the Southern Dip assassin with a spear. However, this didn't affect the speed of the Southern Dip assassin, because she turned into a shadow and directly ignored physical attacks. And this was her trump card. As soon as she used this technique, both Chen Fengchao's Divine Grass technique and the Rain Demon's rain-killing technique were useless. Han Fei couldn't help but sigh. Although he had long known that the Southern Dip assassin was very strong and had personally experienced it, it wasn't until this moment that he knew that there was such a strong Southern Dip assassin in the South Sea. He didn't even need to think to know that it would be a huge cost for the Southern Dip to nurture such an assassin. The 3 experts on the god roll failed, and a strong master from the mirage sect in the Central Sea divine realm joined hands and shouted, "Dark tide." Immediately, with this person as the center, darkness spread out. In the darkness, the power of the great Tao turned into threads of Tao runes that intertwined and spread. The Southern Dip assassin had to choose another direction to escape. She wasn't necessarily afraid of this kind of divine technique, but now she was surrounded by people, not fighting one-on-one, so she couldn't waste any time. The expert from the Mirage sect blocked the way, and an expert from the Grand Development sect also took action. He threw out a Tao pattern talisman and set up layers of illusion arrays. Yi Qingchan, as a party involved, was certainly not watching the show. She also took action. Having been ambushed before, she was caught off guard. Now she took the initiative to attack, and a yellow-green halo enveloped this place. This technique was quite targeted. Sure enough, the Southern Dip assassin instantly returned to her original state. At this moment, the void world trembled, and Han Fei took action. Not many people could catch such a loophole in an instant, or rather, not many people could keep up with him in speed. Even if the Southern Dip assassin was forced to reveal herself, not everyone could kill her with a single blow. The 8th move of the sky-cleaving star-cutting knife, blood knife sky breaking. Looking around, Han Fei certainly couldn't reveal his real strength, but this blood knife sky breaking was the strongest single target attack of the sky cleaving star-cutting knife technique. He had hidden the Tao of Slaughter God in this move and simulated the power of qi and blood. It was impossible for others to see through it. Seeing this attack, Yi Qingchan's eyes glowed. Han Fei's attack was very powerful. It was not something an ordinary expert in the perfected star transformation realm could resist. In addition to Han Fei, Zhao Longma and the others also took action one after another. At this moment, unless this Southern Dip assassin had a high-quality nature, spiritual treasure, or was as strong as Han Fei, she couldn't escape at all. Obviously, the Southern Dip assassin had realized this too. Therefore, at this moment, she only had one trump card left. Roar. Amidst the overwhelming techniques, a shocking dragon roar suddenly erupted from behind the Southern Dip assassin. Under her, a big fish phantom soared into the sky. The moment it soared, it turned into an azure dragon and spewed out a smoke wave. The smoke wave was vast and the dragon roar was mournful. Is this your trump card? The power displayed by this big fish was indeed beyond the level of the sky opening realm. However, this alone was not enough. Although Han Fei didn't take these so-called experts on the god roll seriously, these people did have the strength to fight Tao provers, although they were in the sky opening realm now. Furthermore, because the power of this big fish had once again exceeded the level of the sky opening realm, the heavenly Tao chains appeared even faster this time, as if they had long locked onto the Southern Dip assassin. Before the big fish could unleash its true strength, it was locked by the heavenly Tao chains. Clearly, this Southern Dip assassin underestimated the rules of the god-ferrying ancient land and thought that she could make use of the characteristic of slow attacking of the heavenly Tao chain to unleash the power beyond the sky-opening realm. Little did she know that anyone whose realm was above the sky-opening realm had already been monitored by the heavenly Tao here. Therefore, this trump card of the Southern Dip assassin was wasted. The big fish was crushed in an instant. Boom, boom, boom. There was a series of explosions in the field, and the terrifying impact shook in all directions. However, even with this level of bombardment, the figure of the Southern Dip assassin still rushed out of the terrifying explosive power and directly rushed towards the illusion domain set up by the strong master of the Grand Development Sect. Jiao Lama roared, "Wang Han, what are you doing?" "Thank you, readers." Chen Fangqiao asked, "Wang Han, what do you mean?" Yu Donglu appeared and looked at Han Fei angrily. In the field, only Yi Qingchan's pupils were constricted and she frowned slightly. He found it. He found it. Why? Because of the companion spirit? Yes, at the critical moment just now, Han Fei suddenly turned around and slashed at the attacks of the others. This was because he knew that fish, the giant arowana. It was not uncommon for the Southern Dip assassin to unleash her shadow body. Although there were not many such talent-type techniques, there were still many of them in the sea realm. Besides, as an assassin, having such an ability could only mean that she was more suitable to be an assassin. However, the giant arowana was different. In this world, Han Fei had never seen anyone else own a giant arowana except Xia Xiaochan. Of course, this was not decisive evidence. Xia Xiaochan's former bloodline was a combination of the bloodline of the Merman royal family and the bloodline of the heavenly cicada family. Xia Xiaochan awakened the heavenly cicada talent because she inherited the talent of the Yin family, which was understandable. However, Xia Xiaochan's awakening of the giant arowana should be related to her bloodline as a descendant of a god. Han Fei couldn't say that no one in the sea realm had awakened the giant arowana, but the shadow body, giant arowana, and assassin. These three characteristics were too obvious. Eldest senior brother had said that Xia Xiaochan's reincarnation body had a missing part of her soul, and she would try to go back to find this missing part. Putting all this together, it was very likely that Xia Xiaochan would become a Southern Dip assassin. Earlier, he had thought that Yi Qingchan was Xia Xiaochan, partly because of the yin-yang dual pendant, and partly because of the birthmark and the missing soul that he had just asked about. Yi Qingchan had admitted it. That was why he helped Yi Qingchan. But the appearance of the giant arowana made Han Fei suspicious. There was obviously some secret between Yi Qingchan and this Southern Dip assassin. To verify if Yi Qingchan was really Xia Xiaochan, he simply needed to use the vast ocean navigator. However, he was not allowed to take out the vast ocean navigator at this moment. At this moment, the Southern Dip assassin had rushed into the domain of illusion set up by the Grand Development Sect. Han Fei looked at Yi Qingchan. "I have something to verify. If everything is as you say, I will bring back the corpse of this Southern Dip assassin." Yi Qingchan was not stupid. Han Fei had obviously guessed something. The yin-yang dual pendant could no longer prove their relationship. And the power that Han Fei had just shown, the power to cross the timeline and suppress her guardians, was much stronger than she had imagined. Therefore, if he really verified it, she might have a powerful enemy. It was not very likely, but inevitable. Immediately, Yi Qingchan's face turned cold. "Everyone, I, Yi Qingchan, hereby promise that I will marry anyone who can kill Wang Han and that Southern Dip assassin and embark on a divine path with him together." Countless strong masters were in an uproar. Wasn't it said that she would find her spouse through a joust? Why did Yi Qingchan make such a promise here? Many people were surprised. Just a moment ago, Yi Qingchan invited Wang Han to have a talk with her, but now she wanted to kill him. Was there something going on here? The only explanation was the southern dip assassin. Wang Han suddenly changed his mind and stopped helping Yi Qingchuan because of the southern dip assassin. Therefore, the problem was not Wang Han, but the southern dip assassin. There must be some big secret on her, so Yi Qingchuan had to kill her. However, people died in the sea realm every day, and heavenly talents were no exception. Now these two people were like turtles in a jar. How could they not be killed? Zhao Longma said, Holy Lady Qingchuan, there are two enemies. What if different people kill them? Yi Qingchuan said, then I can only choose between the two people who killed them. It's more convenient to choose between two people than among countless people. A single fight will be enough. Haha. Holy Lady Qingchuan, I hope you keep your word. As Yi Qingchuan said, to choose between two people, only one fight was needed. But if all the heavenly talents gathered in the miracle forest, God knew how many battles they would have to fight, and there would be many changes. Instantly, everyone was excited. Countless strong masters who had been waiting to watch the show took action one after another. Since it had nothing to do with them, they could ignore it. However, since it concerned their divine path, they would fight for it even if they had to die. There were tens of thousands of heavenly talents gathered here. No one thought that these two people would have a chance to break out of this encirclement. Han Fei looked at Yi Qingchuan teasingly. Sure enough, you were lying to me. Yi Qingchuan asked, what can you do? Han Fei said, that's a good scheme, but are you sure that you can stop me? Yi Qingchuan clapped her hands coldly. One figure after another appeared behind her with swishes. Yi Qingchuan said, you are not weak, but do you think I only have two guardians? Han Fei licked the corner of his mouth. Interesting. If circumstances allowed, Han Fei really wanted to take Yi Qingchuan down. However, since Yi Qingchuan was not Xia Xiachuan's reincarnation body, the identity of this southern dip assassin was obvious. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. Han Fei laughed out loud, and the blood in his body soared. The 9-foot-long ring broadsword disappeared into his body, and he extended his hand, and the creation blood sky blade appeared in his hand.